That is what I'm talking about. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to day 65 of Adventures in Middle-earth Wilderland Adventures. This is the Watch on the Heath, and it is my great pleasure to welcome everybody to Adventures in Middle-earth as we have our second session of April. And as the party is in the home stretch, very much in the home stretch of Wilderland Adventures here, as they have found the watchtower known as Zirakenbar. But before I talk more about today's session, let me remind everybody about ways to support the stream. If you have not done so already, please follow the channel. Please check us out on our YouTube as well with !ArvTube, where you can see all the past 64 days of this adventure up to this point. Please check us out as well at !ArvTweets. That's the Twitter. Please retweet this stream if you can. We love to bring in more people into this channel as our community continues to grow. !ArvCord is our Discord channel where you can hang out with the Arvanauts in between streams, and you can find out about all of that on the website arvanelleron.com. On the financial side, we've got !Arv Shop, which has got material for the Infinity and Beyond crew, which is playing Curse of Strahd currently, and which has material and merchandise for this crew, the Adventures of Middle-earth crew, which currently is has a bunch of stuff up there with character portraits illustrated by the amazing Terry Toons. So you can check that out as well. Then we have got !Arv Cord, and there's going to be hopefully Esper Genesis stuff on that shop as well, by the way. Then we've got as well !Arv Treon, that is the Patreon, which is one of the big drivers of the channel financially and really makes a difference to us. It allows me to do different things about putting money back into the channel and into my writing, so it is very much appreciated, and you can get inspirations to help the players. You can get copies of one of my band's albums. You can get a professional writing critique by yours truly. You can get an epic character background, an epic poem written about you, stuff like that, plus stuff for the channel as well. So please consider jumping on board, supporting us there, and consider supporting us via the sub button as well. We're currently sitting at 63 subs. We've had about a week or so of a lot of very good sub support from people, for which I'm very grateful. So please consider jumping on board. You can get to be awesome subs. You get to use the awesome emotes, new emotes, many of which were done by that same Terry Toons, like for example, right there, as you can see, Echo Alpha right there. So yeah, that's what we've got with that. And we're only about 40 followers away, by the way, from 6,000 followers, which is a nice little milestone too. So there's that. So yes, please consider jumping on board with that. You can get inspirations too. Man, I love that so much. I love those so much. Oh, they're so great. Anyway, yes, so that's the deal with that. Now, on the schedule, one last thing, publishing stuff, Icarus to pre-order my graphic novel Icarus and Jelinek, which will be coming in late May, early June. Again, art for that is amazing. That's coming from Athos Arts. Library, Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library. And I do want to say thank you to those of you who have spread the word about this, because we were the deal of the day on Drive-Thru RPG a couple of days ago, and we are now a copper seller. And at last check, I believe, I don't know what it is right now, but as of yesterday, Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library I keep saying forgotten, from the Forbidden Library was number 91 on the hot list on D&D on that site. So out of all D&D products, and there are a ton, we are 91st, which is great. So thank you, everybody, and let's keep that up, because that helps Alligator Alley Entertainment, who also does Esper Genesis, and it helps us as well, so it's great. I forgot it was Forbidden. That's exactly right, Aaron. It's because I keep seeing things referring to Forgotten, and then I just keep, my mind goes into autopilot, I think is probably what it is. Anyway, so that's the deal with that. And then last is Grayshade KS, which is that Grayshade Kickstarter, currently on hold because of everything going on in the world. But again, hopefully sooner rather than later, that will open up again, and then we can talk more about the details of that. Schedule-wise, we've got Adventures of Middle-earth Wilderland Adventures now. Then at 4 p.m. Eastern, we have more D&D with GOG, Storm King's Thunder. Tomorrow evening, we have got Community D&D with Dragon of Ice Spire Peak with the Shadow Crew, including Hoodie and Echo Alpha X5 that you see in chat right now, and Rock God with Shadowed Mage as their intrepid DM. That is 9 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Thursday is still up in the air. We don't have anything, I think, planned at the moment for Thursday. But Friday, we do have Esper Genesis, the second session of that campaign for this month. And then on Saturday, we have got more D&D with IMB, Curse of Strahd. And the last note that I want to make is that today is the last day that we are taking information, or votes, I should say, for the Game of the Month. Patreon Field Chet Chosen Game of the Month, which I will be doing next week. Right now, Planescape Torment is in the lead there with 7 votes. Kingdom Come Deliverance is 3. World of Goo is 3 votes. So now is the chance to get your votes in, because I'm going to be closing that down at the end of the session. So please make sure to jump that in as we go. But otherwise, we are good to go, I think. And so I am going to unmute myself so the folks know that we are ready to go. And then I'm going to unmute them. And last but certainly not least, I'm going to head over there to show you three of the 4. The fourth person is currently seeking out a hard drive, I think, is basically the way to describe it. So hopefully we will be getting Will in here shortly. He is Will Jones, who plays Robar Staunton. But the rest of my intrepid crew here is with us and is poised to enter a watchtower. And I will ask how some of them feel all along this watchtower by starting with... No, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the characters. What is it? Something to the thief, said to the thief. What is the... oh,
there
God.
Must be some kind of way
out of here.
Yeah, but
the Joker.
The Joker to the thief. That's what I was trying to figure out. So are you as like Joker or Jester? So Trent, are you the Joker or the thief in the All Along the Watchtower song? And how are you, sir?
That's a really good question. I'm not sure. I don't tend to steal very often, except of course for people's hearts.
That's true. Oh.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Thank you. Thank you. It took weeks of setup to get that joke.
He told me in January, this is going to be great in April.
We'll be in the middle of a quarantine lockdown, and I was like, "What?"
I was like, "What are you talking about?" You're like, "Never mind. I'm sure it's nothing."
Sell all your stocks now.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so yeah, I'm Trent Sparks. I'm a professional voice actor person and audiobook narrator and short story narrator for Drabblecast and Escape Pod and apparently while I'm working on a Shadowrun novel and well the audiobook and I'm finally making some headway towards getting through the last of the editing process. And during our previous setup call for D&D, and John's like, "So how's it going?" And I'm like, "I think I can have it done by the 20th or the 21st." And then he drops another narration project in my lap, and I'm like, "You realize this is going to push, the thing is like, he's like, but you can still finish it by the end of the month." I'm like, "Of course I can." And he's like, "Okay, I don't care then." I'm like, that's not the point. I told you I would have it done by this day.
I told you. I told you your problem, Trent, as I always say to people who complain about this, if you were just crappy at your job and you were a crappy VA and crappy narrator, then this wouldn't be a problem. But so long as you continue to be good at it,
See, that's we've realized a problem in that case. See, normally when I'm doing the editing, I do all the editing and then I do my final quality control pass to make sure that everything is the way it should be.
Right.
And then I do all of the audio processing for the Audiobook Creation Exchange, which is run by Audible, who sells all the audiobooks. But when I do the audio processing, everything gets much, much louder. So apparently, narrators like myself who prefer to leave some of the breath sounds in because it adds to the pacing of the story, apparently that breathing gets much louder and has been found by some to be somewhat jarring. And I'm like, crap. Okay. So now I have to go back and alter the way that I do things.
I said to him, "Chummer," this image of like what the
yeah. Anyway, I am playing an emotionally stalwart gentleman named something. This guy whose name I still don't know, and I thought looking at it might
Tawny Bear
jog my memory, but I haven't looked at it yet because I'm looking at the camera. I'm not looking at my image on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Tawny Bear. Thank you very much, Amel.
unforgettable.
I don't know about that. Enough sufficient blunt force trauma. So yeah, he is a former berserker turned healer.
Yes, and his definitely is the one of the group that has been stalwart enough to be least impacted by the weight of the shadow, though he experiences a little bit of it too. And he's tired because of the level of exhaustion. But
yes, and if I happen to get up and run out of the room, it's because I have a shipment of soap coming.
Well, who needs soap these days? I can't
really,
imagine why anyway.
It's May. I do need to bathe at some point this year.
Yes. No problem. I totally understand. And it's always a pleasure to have Tren with us. You will see him, of course, also in Infinity and Beyond later in the week. I already talked about Will, and so we'll move right along to someone who I hope is gradually, we'll be able to put her hay fever to the side for a short period of time, maybe. Hopefully escape to a world in which there is no hay fever, just shadow. And that, of course,
would
is
be a
Terry.
relief. Oh
That's
my
Terry,
God.
too. It's,
Any
give me the
day.
shadow points, just no hay fever points, right? How are you, Terry?
Well, aside from the hay fever, I'm doing good. Also, I have a question about Tony. So, like, if he was the berserker, was he like just like the fighty type, or was he like the mushroom doing kind?
He was just the fighty bitey type.
Oh, okay. So no mushrooms.
I mean, if somebody had a mushroom in their hand while he was trying to bite their hand off, he might wind up eating it.
I
But-
see.
This description is becoming more Apocalypse Now all the time, by the way. Just like, I had this image of it. When I was in Special Bjorning Forces, I just had this image of you just
Wasn't a
going,
Bjorning at that point.
yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm.
Wait, was he not? I thought Bjornings.
That's what I thought.
I thought they were a race. Are
Well,
No. They're more like an interest group. I
they not?
think anybody.
He was
Is that what
a
you call it?
tiny little guy.
wait
until
a
he became
minute.
Bjorn
Wait
in the
a
bird.
minute. What is
Isn't
wrong
that
with
like a
all?
thing? Like I literally talked about this with my boyfriend yesterday about like how racist in like in on Ada work, and like so Bjornings are like technically just regular humans, and then like at some point they were like, yo, Bjorn is like this really cool dude. Let's like live with him, right? That's what happened, right?
Well, except that not exactly. I mean,
Because
it's
Bjorn is described as belonging to a certain group of like
Right.
bear aficionados.
right.
But like we don't know
Sorry.
Hello.
who Bjorn is descended from. Like I have like a whole like somebody on Reddit yesterday posted like this huge family tree of like everybody from the Lord of the Rings and how they are related and like all the way back to the Ainur.
Mhm.
And it's like whoa.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like every relation and like Bjorn just pops up at some point. It's like no relation to anybody. We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's
don't know.
definitely, and it turns out, I mean, he's descended as others are from, he is like when Gandalf is first describing him as this, he's a skin changer. He changes his skin, and that there's a group that can do that, except there aren't many of them, and Bjorn is the sort of greatest of them. I think by this point, Bjornings, at least in game terms, are also part of that same bloodline, not descending from Bjorn, but I mean like also cousins of or connected to Bjorn. But there are also some that do, as you say, kind of just gather to the banner almost, and so I think it's almost like, I don't want to say two strands or strains, but I think it's kind of a combination of both of those. I just want to be clear that, Tani is very much in the has the blood of, category from my point of view. I mean, I don't think he's just some big dude who showed up one day and was like, hey, how are all you doing? You all look like you like bears. I don't think that's what was going on. Although maybe I should not assume.
I know what's going on. Actually, like all of the Bjornings are just furries who all specialize in bears.
Well, I was about to say,
And, like,
don't
they were like,
confuse
okay.
player with character, Trent. All right, you just take it easy over there. Anyway.
Am I wrong, Tony? Am I wrong?
Well,
I don't know.
It's just a saying, oh, you like bears, I like bears, perfect. We are brothers for life.
Tari, are you aware of, like, I don't know if this translates to German, but of the gay lexicon terminology?
Oh,
and
yes, absolutely.
bear. Okay, just making sure. So that there wasn't a layer being missed there. So okay.
No.
I'm trying to think of the German word that would describe these phenomenons, but I'm not going to talk
Oh,
about
they're
that.
also
Instead,
just called bears.
they just called bears. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
like a lot of with this terminology, we just use the English terms because like a lot of that stuff came from somewhere else.
yes, not
was just
from
like-
not here. Who are
Well,
you?
like more like there was no terminology for that, and like there were already like papers written about that. And
Oh yeah, I
don't know, magazines, whatnot. So,
I'm thinking about the academic interest in this. I just have this image, Mal will appreciate this, of some of my colleagues, certain of my colleagues, discovering some of these things for the first time, and I get this big smile on my face, like the wonderment of the. Well, could you describe that in more? Oh! It's like the judge from Ace Attorney, like just I didn't realize. Yes. Anyway, before
have
we
to
get
say-
ourselves in trouble during this relatively family-friendly show, who are you playing, Terry?
I'm not playing a bear.
No.
I'm playing. I'm playing a dwarf. Her name is Inge, daughter of Ida. She is a stonemason by trade and a wanderer, and she has a trusty pony sidekick, and she has too many shadow points, but she doesn't have hay fever.
That's
So
true.
I'd like to switch with.
There's no hay on the heath.
Oh
That's
yeah.
true. It's all
I-
been withered.
I do wonder if you did switch that, so you would switch the shadow points, but because you didn't have hay fever, would that erase some of your shadow points immediately? Because you'd be like, I'm depressed, but I don't have hay fever, so
I think we
You know.
should apply this mechanic to the game right away. So
yes, exactly.
basically,
Sure.
all of a sudden, everyone realizes they don't have hay fever, and that just
Oh, yeah.
deducts 3 to 4 shadow points immediately.
Minimum.
They just sort of, that's like what you were saying, Trent, before. I'd like to roll an insight check and realize that I don't have hay fever. Like, that's not insight, nor is that how that works. Anyway, it's always a pleasure to have Terry with us. Also a pleasure to have Amal
Is that
with us.
passive perception then?
Yeah, right, exactly. That would be passive, indeed. So passive, it's not going to happen. Amal, how are you? How is life in the universe in your area of our lockdown world?
It is okay here. I have been I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing with Tari sometimes, which is really great.
Oh, really?
Yes, we have been visiting each other's islands. Her island is a million times cooler than mine, which is a work
I also
in
have
progress.
more time than you. I just need to mention that. Like,
That's
I have like
fair.
a day job.
But still, but no, it's really it's. I aspire to. I totally want to do the grid thing that you did with the
Grid
taking
thing?
and leaving icon, taking and leaving stuff.
Oh, the marketplace. Yes, yes,
So
yes,
yeah,
yes.
I think it's fantastic.
Terry, why are you not streaming this? This would be great. Like, join Terry and Amal's tour of the Animal Crossing world. You know, you should totally stream
We
this.
should
I don't
do
have
that.
equipment for that. I don't have a capture card.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. I have no idea how, because like I've been taking captures on. I have a Switch Lite is the only thing that I have. So
Oh.
so I take captures, and I'm like, but how do I access those in order to put them on the internet the way everyone else is doing? And I have no idea. I could
Oh,
learn.
no. You don't need a capture card to post your pictures, but I'll tell you that after the stream.
Okay, great. Yeah, sorry. I just get lost in the weeds, as it were, the weeds. But anyway, no. So I've been enjoying that very much. I've been baking a lot of bread. I could show you the bread that I've baked. It's quite beautiful, actually. I'm just going to
The one with the flash.
direct it. Yes, so I made a no knead, because there is a great
knead.
need actually
Mhm.
for this. But look at my beautiful bready
Wow.
bread child. Look at it.
Wow.
Okay, this is like
Multi-grain.
absolutely
That
approved.
so is that rye of some
No,
kind?
it's flax and sesame seed.
Sounds
and
awesome.
Otherwise, just all-purpose flour.
I can
and
actually smell this through the screen.
Yep.
I have to say, I'm
love fresh
so
bread.
so pleased with it because I made this recipe the first time and it came out fine. Didn't have the seeds in it because those were my addition. But the second and third times that I attempted it, I overproofed the bread, like the dough, way too much. Just like basically the flat was a lot warmer than I thought it was. So it just rose really quickly, and then by the time I gave it the full rise time, it was bad. It smelled like beer, but not in a nice way.
Oh no.
But this one came out perfectly, and I'm very, very happy with it. And we have bread again, and it's nice. And so anyway, I've been trying to work has continued to be very hard. And I keep wanting to say this in public fora because I know that there is a sort of difficulty and risk of in quarantine, being miserable, but seeing other people posting about various like quarantine project successes and stuff, and then feeling like, why are other people able to do things and I am not? So
Yep.
I am amazingly unable to do quite a lot of things that used to be really easy, like reading books actually has been really hard for me, which is a problem when I review books for a living. But there's also been another difficulty where I have to finish my New York Times column, which was supposed to be due Friday last, but like 2 days before that, I was told that 3 of the books I was covering were being pushed forward, and it's supposed to be a book that it's supposed to be a column that covers books from like that come out in May and June, and suddenly those books were being pushed to come out in August instead. And as a consequence, I had to like scramble to quickly read 3 other books and write 1,500 words about them, and that's a process. And then I realized one of the books that I was using to plug this gap has also been pushed forward
Oh my
to
God.
July. So,
Yeah.
which there's no control over it. We're all just doing our best, and it's hard, but we're also very, 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 very lucky in so many respects, and I feel really grateful. So there's a kind of just constant balancing of feeling super grateful for all the things that we have, but also trying to be gentle with ourselves for all of the things that we are not managing and stuff. So, but yeah. Anyway, I am playing a fighty bard named The River, who is a woodsman of Rosgobel and who has a faithful hound of Brookwood named Stone, and she is wearied by shadow. She is on the cusp of being overcome by shadow, but she did just talk to a dragon, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say she got a chance to somehow get through that in this way. And so, yes, it is a pleasure to have the whole crew with us. And it is time for us to talk a little bit about what happened. As I mentioned, we are in the home stretch, very much so, of Wilderland Adventures, and they have arrived at the fortress of the enemy. No, they've arrived at the watchtower of Zirakanbar. So let me should try investing all those shadow points in index fund. Indeed, flying enemy.
I knew that was flying enemy without you even having to name them.
Yep.
It was like, oh yeah, that was definitely, yep.
They've actually showed up at one or two other events that we do tabletop wise, and you can always tell them like, that kind of humor has returned in a good way. So it's awesome. But all right, let's get some perfect. I love Air Prelude. All right, let's make it happen. So, shout out again to Kevin MacLeod, who single-handedly produces sound for pretty much every D&D campaign. It's amazing how much this guy does. This is the final stage, as I mentioned, of this Watch on the Heath, as the company has made its way through the waste, into the withered heath, through the Grey Mountains, to the forgotten and forbidden, maybe, abandoned watchtower of Zirakanbar. The company has come here because they have gotten good information that this is where the Gibbet King, the one behind the rise of the shadow that the company has been dealing with now for many, many, many sessions, long since past, that the Gibbet King has come here, and there is a plot that the Gibbet King is involved with. Since the failure of his assault on Dale and the rest of the fine people south of Erebor, since that assault has failed, the Gibbet King has accelerated his plans, and his plan now is to take this great chain, this chain which was used at one point in ancient days to imprison no less than Smaug's father, and now has taken this chain to apparently Zirakanbar, where he hoped to enslave this great dragon, a venerable ice drake known as Raynar. The company themselves, elected to speak directly to Raynar and just have a chit-chat about how all this went down, and they did that in our last session. And despite the terror of the moment, they managed to convince Raynar that this was something which was happening. Raynar, was aware that something was drawing him to this place, except he thought it was his own free will, and when he found out that it wasn't that, then that plus some timely reminders from the company about the iron collar around his neck and his previous bondage made clear that he would never serve anybody again. And so what the dragon basically told them that he would do is, if the party could get there and could basically occupy the Gibbet King, could find the Gibbet King, then Raynar would himself come and, in quotes, destroy him. Now, what that means in practice when you're dealing with a dragon is not 100% clear, but the company felt this was better than either being consumed or, falling under the sway of the dragon themselves. And so once Raynar left and basically headed off in another direction, hopefully occupying the guard tower's attention, the company went down to the left side of this tower. And in fact, let me just pull up my picture of this, which I have there. Went to the left side of this tower, the western side of it, and ended up going all along the outside of it, basically to essentially the middle western side, let's say. Also having left Lilliman safely, they hope, in hiding behind and taking Stone with them. So they went to this cave, they went to, to the edge of this place, and using her axe handle and using information they had gathered from the tome that they took with them when they left Erebor, they found a secret entrance, which Inga hit 3 times with her axe blade, I believe, and then this door opened up into the center of the watchtower. Now, our first order of business before we get started is not a shadow point check, fear not, that'll be coming, but it's not that. The first order of business is our arrival roll, because you have arrived at the end of your journey. So what I would like you to do here is, this is going to be the guide, which I believe was Robar, actually. So I'm going to need to have one of you folks roll for him in the meantime, if you wouldn't mind, Tren, because I guess you've done him before. So what we're looking at here is we have daunting terrain, I think it is fair to say. And so this is going to be -2 because of the daunting terrain, but you're going to get +2 because of the embarkation roll that you originally had, so that makes it flat. And there is one additional +1 that you received for an event that happened during the course of the journey. So that means that you're going to have a total of modifier of +1. Now, this is a roll that, if you wish, you could ask for inspiration if you don't already have it from chat or whatever. That's up to you or not, but I just wanted to let you know that was a possibility.
I think we should, I don't know, I feel like it would be nice. But it's up to, Tren is doing the roll, so.
What am I rolling?
Oh, sorry. This is, that's a good question. Okay, so you're rolling a D8. A D8, and then you're going to be adding +1 to that roll.
Now we ask if anybody wants to give us any inspiration.
Okay. Now we do that. The dragon is never clear in its intentions when it's digesting you, yeah, for sure. So we do have inspirations, chat. You also have Vesper Genesis and Curse of Strahd later this month, but, I believe this party had a couple of inspirations thrown its way last time. And let's see, not Inspirsation. That's not how you spell that. Okay, so here's who has it. Let's see, we've got... I do have to say that Amal does have an inspiration. Just so you know, she has. You do have an ability to do that. Remember, you can't inspire yourself, but you can inspire someone else.
I can inspire others.
But Kerflop is willing to do it, so you can save that for now if you want. All you have to do is do !inspire space, and then the one that you want to do. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. Echo has already redeemed his Arvanaut inspiration. Very nice, Echo. He has claimed a 3rd inspiration. So this is a channel points thing. If you watch the channel a lot, you get one of these free extra ones a month, thanks to the generosity of our viewer, our Polar, who usually isn't here for these, but wanted us to be able to use them. Aww. So Kerflop can save that inspiration. So Echo, if you want to use it, you can go !inspire space, and then if you want to inspire Robar, that would be what you would do. So I will wait for that to happen.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Echo.
This inspiration is adding a D something, or is it
advantage?
It's advantage, yeah. So you're going to roll the D8 twice, basically. Well, just this once. All right, and Echo is inspired Robar Puppy Staunton. Unfortunately, there is no one. Your inspiration is wasted. I'm kidding. Okay. All right, so Robar has inspiration. Okay, so roll twice. Take the higher result, please. Thank you very much, Echo.
6.
All right. So, as you arrive at this place, sort of staring into the middle of the watchtower, I am desperately trying to avoid the Undertale meme that this fills you with determination, but it is so hard to avoid that. You have been filled, the leagues that you have traveled, despite the weight upon you, has filled you with a sense of clear purpose that regards your goals. As you look into this passageway and sort of hear a sort of faint rumbling from within this watchtower, despite your fear, despite your shadow, there is a sense of resolution because you have arrived at this final destination. And so the mechanical result of this is that the guide will receive a +1 bonus to your next embarkation roll. So no negatives, no extra shadow. This is what we're looking at. So with that said, I will now hand things back over. Yeah, hides his remainder of inspiration. Thank you, Echo. So I will now bring us over, and the players as well, to our map. Okay, and I'm going to ask everybody, actually, to, if you can drag your tokens. If not, I'll do it. But if you can drag your tokens, that would be great. I don't know why my...
I can only see a tiny portion.
Yep.
Right, yep, that's right. That's all that's there
Okay.
right now. Okay, I don't know why my...
That's not a bug, that's a feature.
There we go. Exactly. All right, I'm going to get rid of that watchtower picture so we can see where we are. Boy, am I zoomed in. All right, let's not zoom in quite that much. Let's take it easy. And also the tokens need to reduce these to rational size. Unfortunately, you can't fit in the passage, so... All right, you actually, I'm wrong.
No, I'm just wiggling myself around. No, how do I make small?
Oh, that's okay. I can do that.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I made you too small. That's all right.
Ah!
So
This is great.
This
I
is to
can
scale.
go
You can see-
undetected.
yeah, exactly. You can see Tawny, who is the size of the passage. Okay. So we're going to do that. Robar is not as big. Despite the stoutness and size of Inga's heart, she really is not as big as Tawny in reality. Nor is the river.
much bigger, actually.
And of course, stone to scale. Completely. I'm just kidding. You wish. Can you imagine? Like, and
This
we
is
bring
great.
he just fights
Stone
the dragon.
wrestles the dragon.
Exactly.
It's just...
Stone versus Raynar for all the marbles. All right. I have a feeling if I actually said Stone fights the dragon, I'm pretty sure I'd get a very angry river. It'd be like, wait, what? I'm like, well, you can either all die or Stone can sacrifice. No!
No.
Well,
We
yeah.
will not end up on dogdie.org, okay?
No,
I know.
exactly.
Show
We
will
will
not
not.
go on there.
Stone is a
Besides-
warhound. This is true, Echo. Yes.
Yeah, and his fur gives him like +19 cold resistance. So he's fine.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly right. He's completely immune to,
Exactly.
All right,
Yeah.
so you are looking down this passage that sort of opens into the mountain, and I want to just describe quickly what it is that you can see. The light from the outside, the pale sort of daylight, such as it is here, flows in from the outside, and so you can see this leading into what looks like a fairly lightless place ahead of you. Now, as you go in, some of you who can see in the dark, in particular Inga, I believe, will be able to see once the light from back there fades, but it means the rest of you, Robar and Tawny and the river, will not be able to see. Stone might be able to manage okay by smelling. Stone, by the way, does not look super happy about the experience of being outside this place. He's kind of snuffing like as if he smells foul vapors coming from inside. But that said, you're going to have to decide if you want to go without light or with light, because it does not appear to be much light in the inside of this place.
Do we just have torches, or do we also have proper lanterns with us?
I would say that
Because
you...
if we would...
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I would say that you would have probably lanterns of some kind. Probably not all of you would. I would imagine one of you probably had one that you took with you.
Okay, in that case, I would suggest we do prepare the lantern, but like cover it up for now.
Okay.
And like only uncover it once we know that nobody is around, basically. And aside from that, like Inga and Stone would take point and lead everybody on.
Okay. So go
Sounds
ahead and
like a
position
plan.
yourself on the map if you want to do that. You can certainly do that.
Like basically Stone sniffing everything out and Inga looking ahead.
Like that? Okay. All right. What about the rest of the order? I'll give you a little more room to maneuver here. Okay. So that way you can go a little farther down the passageway. And then what about the order for the rest of you? Now, this passageway, incidentally, is not very wide. It's about, you can see there, about 7 to 8 feet wide. So you could have definitely Stone and, because these squares are 5 feet. So you could have Stone and Inga next to each other, but it would have to be either single file or like two abreast, no more than that. And fighting side by side, by the way, is no way that's going to happen in the passage. You can walk side by side.
Point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also, like, we don't let the door fall shut. We put a little pebble in between the door to make sure we don't get locked in.
Is that? I mean, I would presume that the door would open if you knocked it from the inside. I don't know if it just seems like
I wouldn't want to bet on it, you know.
Yeah, but I just worry about leaving the secret door open because we don't want anything to come in after us, right? But I don't know. River is obviously going to default to whatever Inga's like dwarven wisdom is on the situation, but
well, Inga is like mainly thinking about what happened with the secret door at the Erebor that was locked shut after they closed it behind them and they couldn't get it open again.
Right.
If they wanted to, as the book says.
That's true. But that was because like the dragon came up and they like were trying to slam it really hard, right? Wasn't it?
No, that happened after, I think.
That was after. Never mind. How can I be misremembering things from my favorite book? I just haven't read it in a long time. Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Sorry,
I mean, it would just like you shouldn't be able to tell from the outside unless it was like smoke or anything coming out of the hole.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So you begin to make your way in. Now, also important as you're moving through this place. I'm not going to assume anything. How are you attempting to enter? Boldly or sneakily?
Stealthily.
Okay.
Sneaky.
So I will call for, as you go a little bit further, I'll call for stealth checks at various times. This does not always mean that something is on the other side listening, and that's why I'm calling for it. It just has to do with a variety of different factors. So, so as you make your way in...
also like looking for any booby traps.
Okay. So I would like you to make, as you get about another 15, 20 feet along this passageway, Inga, I would like you, please, in fact, I'd like everybody to make a stealth check for me, please. And in case people are curious, the way that the stealth checks are going to work here for the group is as few people to fail these stealth checks as possible would be good. It's not necessarily the case if one person fails, it's all over in terms of the stealth, but... yeah. All right, so the river appears to be stealthy. Robar seems to be more about the revealing royalty. Inga with the 19 on the stealth, okay. And last but certainly not least, Tani with the 10. Okay, so as you're all making your way in to this place, you can start to see, just as you get to the edge of this sort of larger room, you can see glinting in the dark, with your dwarven eyes, Inga, you can see glinting in the dark off to the east what looks like the flickering possibly of flame or fire. And it doesn't seem to be in this, you seem to be coming to what looks like a somewhat larger room. It doesn't seem to be in this room, it seems to be beyond it. But you can definitely see the flickering of fire. You can't hear anything yet other than this general low rumble, but that is what you can see from your vantage point.
So not in the room I'm just standing in
Correct.
front of, right?
That's right.
Okay, then
Can we actually...
I want to lurk into the room and see if I see anything out of the ordinary.
Before we continue, can we actually get a quick recap on the other information that we got from the tome? Because it was things about, like, there was a chamber of winds that it was at the top. There's a secret treasure chamber. There's
That's right.
I just wanted to get
Sure.
a sense of what we learned exactly.
Sure. So the treasure vault was this apparently, which was built when the tower was first carved, was in the quote last bedchamber on the left, and the entrance was hidden in the floor. You don't know where the bedchamber is, but that was what the information sort of that gave you. Then you mentioned we talked about the Chamber of the Wind, which is about this place towards the upper level of the watchtower, which is has this sort of dangerous potential where the tunnels themselves blow in wind, and if you open the doors in the right way, you can actually do serious damage to yourself and to others that happen to be in the middle of that room because of not only the air pressure but the noise that would be created. And then there was also a raven's perch, which was at the very, very top, just sort of a little tiny one above that, a small chamber where the dwarves kept raven messengers. And that was reached by a spiral staircase which opened off the main stairs. And I believe that's the information that you had that I know about.
We didn't see any ravens when we were outside, did we?
You did not.
I think
no.
I specifically asked for that.
Yep, you did not see any ravens.
Okay.
And if so, I just want to. So I'm just getting a sense of the treasure chamber is accessible from the last bedchamber on the left.
Right.
And it's a trap door.
That's correct. But whatever the bed, you don't know where the bedchamber in question
We don't.
is, though.
It's just this is the thing. I'm just one thing that I'm trying to think about is where we have entered from.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a sense that where we are is actually lower than the rest?
Yes.
Of
Oh, yeah.
the
This
chambers,
is definitely this has got to be the ground level based on the rest of where the tower is. Sure.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm wondering is there a point where we could check the ceiling for openings? Because if this is a trap door from a bedroom that goes down, then. But presumably we'd have to actually be in the treasure chamber first before we could
I
find
think
that.
that it might be the case. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to have that clear in my head.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Okay. So you said you're lurking into the room, Inga, I believe.
Yeah, like first I'm listening. Do I hear anything, or does Stone
Make a
react to
perception check
anything?
for me, please.
Can I also do that with Stone, or actually?
Move up.
Well, what I'm wondering is, can Stone confer advantage to Inga since he's next to her? Because the whole thing with him is...
I'm trying to decide, though, whether that's about your unique bond with him, whether it's you that he benefits as opposed to just anybody.
Let me just read it again.
Yeah.
Because I'm happy with it either way.
Okay.
Oops, that's not the right
Then
one.
you
But
know his body language better than anyone.
Well,
right.
either way, it's a 10 or a 12.
Okay.
Okay.
A 10 or a 12. But go ahead and let me know because I'm curious about the...
Right. So, you can train your hound to assist in one activity. A dog can be trained to support you in making any one of the following ability checks. Charisma, intelligence, or wisdom. It takes a fellowship ways worth of training to teach your dog to complete an additional task, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's not the part actually that I wanted. It is... I can't remember where I read this. Maybe I am... Hound deals on your turn. You may use your action to command the hound to take an attack, dash, dodges, and help. If you have the extra attack feature, you can make one weapon attack yourself while commanding your hound to attack. We already do that. I'm sorry, I'm reading super slowly today.
It's all right. I will tell you that as you're figuring that out, the you don't really hear anything yet. But this rumbling that I mentioned
Here it is.
seems to also have added to it, Inga, a kind of a low, what might almost be like a crackling sound, like sort of sound of very, very faint sound of like snapping and cracking, possibly of some kind of fire.
Sorry, I have figured out where it was. It was on the sheet itself, not in the thing. So when you make intelligence or investigation checks, you gain advantage and count as proficient in the skill, even if you are not. If you are proficient, you get to double your proficiency bonus.
And that's on you, right? That's on your character sheet?
Yeah. No, it's on Stone's. So that's like the action is investigate under the support aspect of it. But there's also keen hearing and smell. The hound has advantage on wisdom ability checks that rely on hearing and smell.
Yep,
but he gets advantage. We're not necessarily conferring it to Inga right now, but he has advantage on perception ability checks that rely on hearing.
Actually, it's not him. You are the one training him. So it says you can train your hound to assist you. So when you make ability checks using one of your hound's trained skills, you, the trainer, the river, gain advantage and count as proficient, etc. So that's referring to you. That's what I was wondering. Stone affects you, not necessarily other people.
But the language here, that's for the support ones, yes. But for keen hearing and smell, because that just says the hound has advantage on wisdom ability checks. That for the not under the support. Yeah, that's fair. Yes, I think that's fair enough. So that when we're dealing with hearing and smell for just Stone, yes, that's right. Yes, and he has passive. So his skills are perception +6, passive perception 13.
Yep.
Etc.
Yep.
Okay.
No, I see that. So yes, but it's not going to give advantage to Inga regardless.
No.
So.
But can Stone make a perception check?
He could if you wish, if you have a specific thing that you're having him, like if you're saying, Stone, little Johnny's down the well, type of thing. If like,
I think mostly what River is curious about right now is how far orcs have penetrated into all aspects, or the enemy has penetrated into all aspects of this place.
Right.
So I think she'd want to know, does he smell enemy presences?
Okay, go ahead and make a perception check. That's fine. It's Timmy, right? Little Timmy. He fell in the well.
So that is a wisdom check. Yes.
Yes.
Quick unrelated question. Did we meet Ori or Oin?
I believe it was
Ori. I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was Ori. But I will confirm right now. I think it was Ori.
Because now that I have this beautiful family tree map in front of me, I'm like, where does Inge fit in to all of this?
Exactly. It was Ori, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So yeah, you can definitely tell that snuffling that I mentioned when outside the mountain, he's definitely doing more of that as he kind of walks along the path, walks along this corridor. So your guess, River, is that he definitely does seem to be aware of the presence of orcs, perhaps not immediately, but there does seem to be this presence within it. The other thing is that Stone looks sort of generally troubled, generally disturbed. And, obviously neither him nor Lilliman were feeling great about things during this entire trip. But the passing into the mountain, his ears are down, his tail kind of droops. He looks exceedingly nervous, I guess might be the way to describe it. And you can't just sort of put that up to orcs. He's dealt with orcs before. Right. So, but it's non-specific. I mean, obviously he can't tell you wag 3 times and this is what it means. But there's definitely something up with him.
Yes. I mean, he'll probably remember, obviously, the last time they had an encounter with the Gibbet King and stuff like that.
Right. I don't know whether he'd be able to reflect it in the same way, though, even if that's what it is. But there's something different than there's some presence different than just the orcs here, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
River will convey this to everyone and also, I'm imagining that, so there aren't orcs necessarily, in this room right now and stuff.
Right. Okay. So that's what the crackling of flame is what I'm mentioning for you. So with that knowledge, are you going to?
Not in this room, next room.
Right, exactly.
So I don't see anybody sleeping here or anything.
Not as of yet.
So. I'm checking if there's any tripwires or anything.
Okay. So let's see. Let me have you make a investigation check, please.
Okay.
River just cuddles Stone a little bit, quiet ear scratching.
Yes.
He kind of nuzzles you. Say again. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, not anything that you've been able to note so far. There's definitely a fair bit of dust and such along this passageway. If you had to guess, this is a place that has not been walked in or used very much. And the room that you're heading to doesn't seem to be particularly well traveled either.
Who's here?
Go, come look at the kitchen.
Yeah, I guess I step into the room then.
Oh,
Okay.
I'll keep in mind behind the curtain again. Sorry.
All right. So, as you enter this place, you notice that you have entered what appears to be a kind of cellar, at least, or basement, if you had to guess. There seems to be a couple of maybe like broken down bits of what might have been barrels, maybe some like wood chips on the ground. There seems to be one, what looks like maybe a metal ring or hoop that might have gone around the barrel to kind of hold it in place in the distant past. But it is clearly now, the cellar is lightless, and there's nothing going on within this place. However, as you go farther into the room, you do note that the cellar, which has a couple of different kind of passageways leading off of it, we've got a passageway down here to the south, and then there's another passageway leading up here to the north, another hallway. And the flickering flame that I mentioned seems to be coming from here. And now that you're actually here, you can hear very faintly probably only two, low voices, guttural voices kind of growling to each other. Definitely not speaking in...
Can I make out from where they're coming?
Yes, they are coming from over here. It's the same place where you can see the flickering flame coming from.
Okay, then I'm gonna walk over here and look what's down. Oh, well, more like here and like peek around the corner.
Okay.
Like to see what's there.
I'm going to march confidently into the middle of the hall.
Yes.
Hello! All right. So this passageway extends up to the north and then bends to the east, and heads this way. This passageway also is a little wider. This one that's right up here is a little wider than the one that you just came from. This is probably about 10 feet wide as opposed to 7 or so that you were just in. Still not super wide, but... yeah, there's also a very sort of faint, almost might be like a draft of air that you can... Just a faint breeze coming from this direction, from up that hallway.
Okay. Then I sneak over here and do the same with this hallway.
Okay. When you get there, I need you to make a stealth check for me, please.
Sure.
As Inge is advancing, can we be advancing into
Sure.
like?
I was going to say Tawny kind of pokes Robar, and
Oh,
Robar kind of
21.
pokes.
And they all go
Woo!
there. Sounds good. Yeah, you can definitely do that. Be aware that if you get to certain places, I'll need you all to be making stealth checks as well. So just, like at various...
I'm basically imagining Inge as kind of like moving us forward when something is putatively safe. Yeah. And then
But I do want to say though, that's true, but just because Inga makes a stealth check and says it's okay to come forward doesn't mean that you might not disturb something if one of you doesn't, or the group doesn't make it. I'm just letting everybody know.
When we get to the entrance, do we also hear the guttural voices, or do we also all need to make perception checks?
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't hear the guttural voices, but without a perception check, you can now see the flickering of flames. You can definitely see that coming. It's it's not very strong, by the way. It's not like roaring or anything, but you can definitely see that coming from here. But you don't really hear any crackling, nor do you hear any voices. Okay, so when you look around, you're peeking around the corner, Inga, I believe, is what you said? Okay. So when you look down here, this passageway doesn't go down very far. Before, it seems to extend into what looks like, you can't see too far into it yet, but what looks like a smaller chamber. And then the passageway also seems to extend both west and east. So basically you've got a chamber off here to the south, and then you've got passageways west and east. And all of these are lightless. The only light that's coming is from the place that I mentioned.
Okay. Then I'm gonna...
A small chamber, you say?
Step in here and look around
Indeed.
like these two corners, like over here and over here.
Okay. So, as you look around those corners, you can see the passageway extends about 25 feet or so to the west, and then bends out of sight to the south. Mm-hmm. And as you look to the east, this also bends maybe about 20 feet to the east and then bends south again.
then in that case, I would like to sneak over here and peek around that corner.
Okay. I need you to make a stealth check as you come up to that one, please.
11.
Okay. So... Okay. Why is King North's not? Okay. As you come up to the side of this room and kind of peek around into it, Inga, you're kind of walking up, and then your foot catches on a little metal, one of those metal hoops that I mentioned that was sort of hidden in the shadows by the door, and it goes dink. And as you look inside, still being careful, obviously, but as you look inside, you can see what is making these flames here. At the edge of this room, there we go, I think I've got that right. At the edge of this room, you can see what looks like, for all the world, an open forge. At first you think it is, but then as you look more closely, you can see that there's a great stone, not our stone, another stone, stone kind of chimney above it. And it is fire that has been stoked here. There's a lot of coal that you can see around its foot. And this area right here seems to be sending, if you could guess, heat up into the rest of the tower, as if this is being used as sort of like a furnace, essentially. But what grabs your attention besides that, and the fact that there are sort of broken bits and pieces, again, of wood and furnishings around here, there are sacks of coal, which are, a couple of them are open and kind of spilling out onto the ground below. But what catches your attention more than any of the above, probably, is the presence of two figures in here. And as you hit, as you sort of accidentally bump this thing, one of them whips their head around. Now, they don't immediately see you because you just peeked. You didn't so they but sort of whip their head in their direction. These are two creatures, and I will show you who they are.
Not creatures.
They are two creatures. You will take both of them. Okay. Okay. So.
Like Inga basically immediately presses her back against the wall as she makes that sound.
Okay. So, let me get rid of something else. Please don't show these things. I don't want you to show anything ever.
One of the features I had mentioned during the setup call, for those of you in the audience who don't know what I'm referring to, that my housemate and several of his friends are playing Curse of Strahd on Tabletop Simulator. One of the cool things about that is that the DM can say, okay, everybody put on your blindfolds. And you hit B or you right click on the map somewhere and say you activate blindfold, and a little curtain comes down on the monitor and covers everything so the DM can change whatever they need to and nobody can see it.
Yeah. Well,
Very
one
cool
of the things
feature.
one of the things that is, okay, I don't know how to get rid of that for now, so forget that part. One of the things that I'm trying to do with one of the things that's great about Curse of Strahd is that I can run two separate instances, one which is the DM's one and one which is the player's one, and that's super useful because it means that I can basically be streaming the player version and I can be showing all of you what I want to show you. The problem is there is no such corollary really for AME, so at some point I need to think about how to address that so that I don't, mostly it ends up working out, but there are a couple cases like this where I'm just kind of like, don't show the thing with the stuff. So anyway, so there's two creatures there. So one of them you can see, which is very clearly this kind of hunched over orc, almost definitely. And the second one also looks to be like this. All right, hang on a second while I get that fixed so that we don't show everything. Okay, no. Okay. All right, good. All right, so the other one is larger, not that much larger.
I was going to say, yeah.
Is far larger. No, the other one is There we go. I got that. So one of them is sort of smaller and has this kind of leathery mask over its face, kind of hunched over. And then the other one, which seems to be a little bit bigger, although it's not, it's a little larger, but it's not some huge Uruk or anything like that. And they seem to be every so often going over, and they both have shovels, and they have bent swords at their belts as well. Every so often they take a shovel, or one of them, both of them at the moment, one of them is looking back at the door. The other one has got a shovel full of coal, which they are shoveling apparently very unhappily into the furnace. The one that has the shovel, that's sort of staring, there's this kind of little small creature that's kind of shoveling and kind of muttering to itself. But the other one is a little odd, Inga, in that you haven't really seen this before. It is wearing armor, leather armor, not amazing armor, but some armor. And on its back, although it is clearly an orc, it has a short, almost cape or cloak descending from the armor. And on the back of it is this red tower that has been painted or drawn on the back of it. And every so often, that's the one that's sort of staring back, and then it says to the little, and the little one stops and looks back towards the door, and then peers, like lowers itself even farther. It's bent almost double, this smaller one, and it kind of peers even more. And then this big one starts walking towards the door. Bigger, I shouldn't say big, but bigger. Are you doing anything?
Yeah, I'm pressed against the wall and keep my breath.
Okay. I want to zoom in for this because... So there's this moment where all of you are looking at this thing. You can see that Inga has stopped. And you can see suddenly this creature emerge, silhouetted against the light from behind it, and kind of peers around. And so, Inga, you have this sort of disturbing moment where you're in the shadows, and this thing is like looking into the shadow. And then sniffs. And it takes out from its belt what looks like a quill and a scroll case, and it opens it and then puts the scroll case under its shoulder basically to hold it, and pulls out a scroll and opens a little bit, and then on the quill, and then with the quill it kind of makes a couple of markings on the scroll, and then rolls up the scroll, puts it back in the case, puts the case and the quill back in its belt, and then turns back and then walks back into the room.
I hope that's not what I think it is. You are muted, Amal.
We've seen a lot of shit in this game and a lot of really disturbing things, but right up there with the disturbing things is orc using writing implement.
Oh yeah, now that you mentioned
I don't like it. Yep. It is bad. I don't like it. I'm literally wearing a feather quill on my head, and I don't like the idea of a bad orc situation.
That's right. You've never seen anything like this. Now, I should mention, and all of you were able to see that, I should mention you did not see the red tower. You're too far away to see that, and it's only Inga saw that. The other thing I should mention is that, of course, you have no idea. I mean, it could have been marking, like, making a big X. Like, you have no idea what it's writing. It only made a couple of marks, but it definitely did all of what I said in very deliberate fashion, like kind of slowly and kind of peering, like, into the shadow, and then turned around and walked back into the room.
What was the red tower thing that we didn't see?
It was an insignia of some kind, it looks like, or a picture or something, this drawing of a red tower, which is on the back on its cape. But you can't see that because of the silhouette, the lighting that I mentioned. Gotcha. Inga could see it because she saw when it was still in the room before it was silhouetted. Right. So.
Who does Inga recognize that symbol from anywhere?
Let me have you make a history check, as I now forget whether it's history or lore in this game. It is history, yes. So make a history check for me, please.
We have both, so...
Yeah,
Well, 10, I guess that brings up nothing.
Yeah. No, I mean, except negative, which is that you've never seen an orc doing any kind of writing before. But this particular like insignia, no. You know that different tribes of orcs, of course, always display tribal insignias and stuff like that. But you're not familiar with this one.
Yeah, I mean.
And
like,
frankly, it's not as
seems to have to do
crude.
something to do with this tower in specific.
Well, I was also going to say it's also not as crude as the normal drawings that you see from orcs. Like it's not, kind of rough drawn and.
So I assume, like, given all the orcs that Inga has met so far, these two look like our group could take them easily.
Yeah, they don't look to be giants. Of course, you don't know what kind of power they have, but
Yeah.
the other smaller one, by the way, you've seen it's kind of like a goblin scout or orc scout almost, and you've seen ones like that before. It's this other larger one you haven't seen.
I know it was just a quick peek, but when Inga looked into the room, did she notice like any alarm horns or bells or anything?
Not on just a quick inspection, no.
Okay.
She definitely saw there were no corridors leading off this room either, by the way.
I guess Inga would then wave her companions over to stand against this wall over here.
Okay. As they do that, I will ask all of them, assuming they do so, then I will ask all of them to make a stealth check as they arrive at said place.
Gonna move the way that Inga moved essentially, and
Also, oh, sorry, go on.
while we're making these rolls, this is a question that does not actually have bearing to what we're doing right now, but just Arv, can you possibly look up runes of victory for a reason? I have written down of it +1 to saving throws, and
that might be right. Let me check.
I presume that is to like saving throws against death, but if it is just +1 to saving throws in general, I would like to know that because I would like to retroactively apply it to shadow points if that was the case. But I don't think it is the case, but just in case it is.
Okay. So runes of victory. Well, runes of victory is on armor. Is on weapons, not
on
armor.
the axes. Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is it's a +1 bonus to, bearing a weapon and a +1 bonus to all saving throws.
Huh.
So yeah, but I have to say I don't believe you've had a saving throw that you've just missed on the shadow points. I'm pretty sure. You've missed them usually by a couple of points. I'm pretty sure.
I would just I would never normally do this, but shadow is so dire that
no, I get it. No, I totally understand. But I'm
record, if the record is there, like I don't want to do it now because we're in this game and stuff, but like if the record of the rolls is still there, it's just because the only reason I'm asking now is because I pulled out my handy dandy handwritten sheet to anticipating battle and was like, wait a second. So yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm looking back up. You can like 4, 8. Like I'm looking at these 9.
They were definitely like it would have been like while they were still but like before the snow trolls and stuff.
13.
Is there like a way
these
to
5? These are not. None of these are close. I'm afraid,
Okay.
River. That's what I thought. I seem to remember that.
Okay.
The closest you had was a 12, and that wouldn't have been enough.
Okay.
So yeah, but that is good to remember for future.
It's good to know going forward.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Cool. Thanks.
Okay.
Is there a way to mark like on the character sheet, like to have it like automatically add the +1?
Probably, but I don't.
saving throws?
Probably, but I don't know off the top of my head. I must
Yeah.
admit, I am not the guru on the sheets. That is Fender Saxby, who I could definitely hit up for some suggestions. But yes. Okay. So you're heading up the same way. I assume Robar is, and also Tani is trying to do the same thing. Like, what is?
Tani's not going to go all the way over.
Okay.
And Robar is taking a slightly different route, which is probably why he just rolled a 5 on his stealth.
Okay. I was gonna say, so he does make noise, and there is kind of a stone that rattles across the floor, but Inga barely hears it, so it seems to be more something which would be down here, and just silence reigns from the south. There doesn't seem to be anything that moves, as all the ambushers get in position. I'm just joking. But no, it seems to be just silence coming from this area. Again, stone also, and the river, I would say, when you get to this, you can also feel this very faint draft of air coming from this passageway. But yeah. Okay, so another stealth check I need when he gets there, please.
Yep.
Okay, so River had a 9 on her first stealth check.
So the same thing. There's a little bit of noise that echoes up to the north, but again, it just seems to be silence up there, just from what you can tell. Okay, Rabar gets it together for this next one and moves much more quietly up to the door. Okay.
Okay, yeah, so I will roll another one for moving the rest of the way. What is the unit of distance for the
5 feet squares.
5 feet squares. And how many can we cover?
Oh, I mean, we're still out of,
Yeah.
like the check that you would make would be to cover all of that area. It's basically when you get closer to here that the stealth would be most important.
Okay. At this point, actually, because we don't know yet. We're being like motioned over by. Actually. Sorry. It's
you could wave back. You could be like,
I'm literally going like, wait, can we see Inga? But
yeah, you can faintly. I mean, you can probably.
There's flickering light.
Correct.
Fire,
you could just faintly, but not by much, honestly. But you did see the figure like move into the door, and
okay,
you saw
so
that.
So we know that. Yeah, we definitely.
We know that
there's
something's there. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. Gonna move over. So a second stealth check.
Okay.
Oh, did you want Stone to make his own stealth check?
Not yet.
Okay.
No, it's okay. Oh wow.
Not bad.
With that 23,
Okay.
you're just sort of like you move over like a wisp of cloud. All right, and you get over to that side. Now, if Stone is coming over, so Stone's coming over with you. Tani, just to be clear with Tani, you're moving there. Okay, so I need you to just make the one check, please, Tani.
Yeah, that's because even though he can't see, he is listening. He can't see the area down here or the area up here, but he is keeping his ears open,
right,
and watching where his friends are.
Okay. Okay, so make that. Yeah, just make the one check for me. Wow.
Wow. Nice.
Tani, as is his practiced way, turns into just shadow and moves carefully. No, so
Can't get any shadow points if you are.
it turns into shadow and thus gains 30 shadow points. Oh no!
No.
So he moves up to the side. Okay, so he does so very quietly. Stone pads his way over quietly to you, River, and so now you are sort of looking. So now it actually depends on what you're doing. You're on either side of that door. What do all you can see each other across the way, and you could like hand signal or whatever if you wanted, but obviously talking might be heard, of course.
Does Tony stay there where he is? Okay. I guess in that case, like Inga would like nod reassuringly to her companions, and then she would probably clank that metal hoop again.
Okay.
But this time a bit louder than last time.
All right. So.
And as
and like
before
everybody,
Inga does
of course,
that,
weapons.
yeah, exactly. It's just like River very slowly and silently draws her axes.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm going to once again ask Roll20, which I love a lot. Can you please make your audio easier to search? It's just, I'm trying to find a little bit of a fire effect.
I see.
And it's, like, I should just be able to type in, like, fire. Instead, they're like, you want fire elemental? I'm like, I don't know. Do I? No.
Oh, right. I don't even have the sound on. I've been...
Like, maybe look for volcano. Maybe that brings up something.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe volcano would work.
No wonder I felt so calm and chill throughout this. There's been no atmospheric music to freak me out.
Well,
I'm changing that now.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, Tort, to answer your question, this is Adventures of Middle-earth, which is using a modified version of D&D 5e. It's also partly influenced and inspired by the One Ring system, although it is, again, 5e. And it was originally done by Cubicle 7. They are not going to be supporting it, though, I think their contract runs out in like a month or two. And then it's going to be taken over by Free League Publishing, which may or may not be why I added them when I tweeted this, because I would love for Free League, which I like as a company anyway, to notice the previously sponsored campaign of Tolkien. Just saying.
Hashtag please sponsor.
Yes, please
Oh
sponsor.
my God, please.
Yeah.
Trent meant to say something.
Free League is great. And I found the volcano. It's a good idea. Thank you, Terry.
What I was
Sometimes
going to
I do
say
have
is, for those of you who have Twitter, go ahead and tweet to Roll20 saying, hey, could you make it so that we can search the audio files a little easier, possibly even adding a filter so that you could select creatures or ambient sounds, so that when you have ambient selected and you type in fire, it doesn't say, hey, you want a fire elemental? It's like, no, that would be a creature.
just fire.
What a good idea.
It's a very, very good call. Okay.
That's why I worked QA at video games.
Yeah, I was going to say, at a company which desperately needed it. So, all right. Okay, so you are now on the opposite side. So now you can decide what you want to do based on this, where you're positioned.
Ready your weapons.
Okay, so you're... Oh, right, and you were doing the hoop thing. That's right. That's right, I remember. Yeah, I played MERP back in the day as well, but unfortunately this is not that, although I really do love the 5e system. And AME does a really good job of making adjustments, like with the shadow system, which my players all love.
Yes.
Okay. It's so great.
We love it.
Okay, so you make that sound, and now both of them, very clearly, the larger one and the smaller one, sort of turn around. The smaller one looks, and the bigger one, and so it pulls out a dagger, and it moves slowly towards the door. The other one pulls out its curved sword, drops its shovel. Actually, no, it doesn't. It keeps its shovel, and it moves over this way.
Everyone loves an offhand weapon.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't actually draw its sword yet. So you see, and then this one sort of disappears out of view from the rest of you. You can estimate pretty much where it went, River, but you can't quite see it. And the other one, apparently both of them are hugging the wall, if you had to guess. Or they've turned invisible, but at the moment you don't see either one.
We wait, I would suggest.
Okay. So, a moment passes. And then there is a sort of moment's silence. And then some object goes flying out of the room and lands right here, clattering on the ground.
Oh, Christ.
Is it a grenade? Are grenades a thing in this
I don't know.
world?
You don't know what it is quite yet.
Quite yet. Oh, I don't like the sound of that.
So it clatters on the ground, and you look down, and then as you look over, you can see that what it might actually be is maybe a shovel. And then something comes around and tries to stab out at you, Inga. Let's see. Try to do this. It's going to be a 22.
Hit.
Okay.
What?
Is
22 to hit?
A 22 to hit.
Oof.
Yeah.
That hits.
When that happens,
Mm-hmm.
is it possible for River to get an attack of opportunity?
Not yet, but you will be able to. But you will, because the thing just appeared. You will be able to get a shot off on it. Basically, the next thing you do, you'll be able to attack it. So you'll be able to attack it in just a moment.
Okay.
So this thing stabs you, Inga, and I need you to make a Constitution save for me, please.
And I get a +1 for that because
Yes.
Amal reminded me of that.
Yay!
The power of
Is that poison?
it
That makes a difference.
it is poison, yes.
Okay,
Ah!
in that case, it just says bonus save versus poison and resistance versus poison damage. Let me look that up again.
Okay.
What big exactly that means.
Yeah, we have a couple players in here, than Terry in particular, who I think has done the Dark Eye role-playing system. I don't know. I mean, I've played for 30 plus years every edition of D&D, and 5e is great, but I also play other systems as well, and I like that. But I happen to like levels and all that stuff, so
Wait,
that's
what was
me.
the question? No.
He was mentioning that you'll only love 5e until you try the Dark Eye, and I know Dark Eye is,
Excuse me.
you know.
Oh dear.
The Dark Eye is the.
So,
I like
resistance-
5e. Let's leave it at that.
Resistance to
I
poison
played-
damage.
Yeah,
Resistance
That's.
to poison damage means that you take half damage from poison.
that's what that means, right? Exactly.
Yeah, but I have both resistance and a bonus save versus poison.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know
we'll
what the bonus save means. It's like
well,
a separate thing. Poison resilience. You have advantage on saving throws against poison.
There you go. So go ahead and make that con save at advantage.
Advantage plus
Plus one.
and you take half damage from it anyway.
Right.
If
But you also
have
don't.
to.
I was gonna say you don't know. This may not just be about damage. We'll see what the impact is.
Right.
So that is a 21.
Okay. You fail. No, I'm just kidding. So
Jesus.
this thing is the strongest poison. Okay. So the 5 damage you took was just from the cut, not from the poison. But there was definitely something that was on this blade, and you have not felt this before, Inga, though you've been, had to deal with poisons in the past. This thing, first of all, the blade itself is jagged, and as the sort of blade jerks back, you can see that it seems to be dark. Almost like it's made of some dark metal or obsidian or something like that, not a sort of normal everyday rusty blade, and very much, I want to emphasize, not what orcs normally carry. That said, it doesn't have a poison effect on you. You sort of shrug off whatever the effect was. You do take 5 damage because it's just piercing damage. It's not poison damage. So
Like, I don't know if it's like a special kind of black, but it's like pretty common for iron weapons to be black.
No,
Like,
not
but
this,
it's like
though. I'm
this
talking
whole
about-
thing called, oh god, I don't know the English word for that, but we call it Brunierung.
Right. Yeah, no. But this is not like that. This is first of all dark, and shiny, almost polished. Not polished metal. It looks maybe like polished stone. In fact, it feels cold when it first stabs you, which is not something you've encountered before. And again, it's a jagged knife, but not rough cut.
Yeah.
It's like a step up in class. Now you have a chance to attack as this thing's back is turned to you, River.
And she will. So going to attack with both axes and stone.
Okay, so you're attacking with your Wow. Okay.
Oh wow! Okay, great.
22 and a 21. Those will both hit.
They better.
Okay.
13, and then stone will take a bite.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Does a 14 hit?
The 14 does not hit, but the reason that it misses will probably please you, in that your axe hits cause this thing just and it pitches forward, bangs into Inga, and then lands on the ground with your axes in its back. And so Stone attacks and literally jumps over the now motionless, and Stone kind of looks back at you, up at you.
I think she would probably keep hold of her axes. But...
Okay, fair enough. I just want to be dramatic.
Yeah.
But she hits it, but you hit it both times with the axes, and it does fall to the ground, and does not move. Meanwhile, there is a moment where there's a pause, and then something goes booking out of the room. Now, as it goes out, I will give Inga the chance to try to get an attack of opportunity. You can't do that because this is happening. Sorry. Inga can get the attack. River cannot because you're dealing with the attack that you just made on this other creature.
Right.
But Tawny, of course, is standing right there, and clearly it has not noticed you either. So
Staff!
Okay, but first I get my attack of opportunity, yes? And the nice thing is I have ult hatred, which means I get advantage on melee attacks.
okay,
Of course.
fair
Go
enough.
for it!
So I take my brand new shiny axe that I have not had the opportunity to use that. So,
Finally.
good old bright edge.
All right, this roll is really important. This sets the tone for every attack this axe will ever make.
That's true. Oh yeah, my axes are shiny new too.
Wow.
Jesus!
Critical hit, huh? All right. What's your max damage with your clearly hacked Bright Edge Great Axe? I'm just joking.
I love it.
That is
Nice hit.
amazing.
Good stuff.
Oh wait, do I get advantage on the attack or on the what's it called? Damage. God,
You get
said it.
advantage on damage.
No, that's not a thing, right? Because I wrote down damage for some reason. I don't know. Okay, so maximum possible damage would be
Wow.
12 plus 8.
So 20. Okay, so you
Dang.
just take a mighty cut, so much so that almost American baseball swing style, you toss this thing and it goes flying forward and literally just rolls to a heap at Tawny's feet.
And it's a home run.
I was low-key hoping that, like, Tanya would get to just trip it with a staff, and a thing that I have seen in so many films and never witnessed in a game. But this is better. This is much better.
Much
This
better.
So Inge looks up from her accents like, this? I like this.
River is also looking like, yes. Oh man, can we actually like reach our
Yes.
axes towards each other and like
clink.
Sure,
high
absolutely.
axe? High five with our axes.
And
Yeah,
then the 4
that's-
cave trolls come out, and no, I'm just
No!
kidding.
And
I'm
worth
joking.
it. Absolutely
Absolutely worth it. No, I'm kidding. Okay. Otherwise, this room at least, and the room next to it appear to be empty now, and these dead orcs are lying on the ground.
Thing I also want to remind you, by the way, this is not relevant to your amazing critical that you just rolled, but Runes of Victory also allows you to roll critical success on.
19.
Oh wait, so yeah, on a. Sorry, I this is where I'm trying to understand. I had 19 written, but I think it's actually 20 and 1. Wait, I have confused
No,
myself.
I
now.
have it written down. So,
Okay.
Runes of Victory gives puts your crit range on 1 and 20.
Okay,
And I also have Keen, so I get a crit on 1, 19, and 20.
that's what it is. There you go. Excellent. So, right, this is good to know. So if you ever roll 1,
Which she did.
yeah. Wow. That's why it was green as well. Okay, now I understand. Okay, great. Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm lagging behind the game mechanics.
That's okay.
Yeah,
So
luckily you can actually punch that in like a crit range for each
Oh,
weapon,
good.
so it tells you.
so yes, so the orcs are dead on
Yes,
the ground.
excellent indeed.
Excellent. I asked you a question. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, so-
Wait, they're both dead?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still not used to fighting creatures that die from.
Yeah, these do not look like they were particularly. The ones that were apparently kept here to stoke the furnace were apparently not the top, lieutenants of the army, so to speak.
I think we should loot the bodies.
Yes.
For that scroll situation, but I don't think River saw it, so I don't think.
No, you saw some. That's not true. You saw something marking. The only thing you hadn't seen was the insignia on the cape on the back.
I thought it was because it was outlined in shadow or something. I couldn't see that, but I was.
Yeah, no, because it didn't block out completely the door.
Okay.
So yeah.
In that case, River's going to be like, "What was it writing?" In shock and awe.
Okay. So you're gonna go over and take a look at these things. Who's looting what? I guess is the question.
Yeah, I'm guessing if River is gonna go for the bigger guy, then Inge's gonna
Yeah.
go for the smaller guy.
Okay. And River's gonna Stone is gonna go with her, and I presume this is an investigate.
Well, you can loot the body just
Okay.
without having to do an investigate yet, unless you're trying to look for something in particular that would not normally be found. So what you find on this creature is a few things. First of all, there is a little pouch at its belt, which you can open or not, if you will, but it seems to have the weight of maybe there might be some coins inside, or maybe it's a dice bag, but you're guessing it's more likely to be coins at its belt. It has also this knife that I talked about is lying underneath it, and you can actually see that on its belt, on the other side of its belt, opposite of that pouch, it has what looks like almost a bandolier of knives. Like there's a set of like maybe 4 or 5 of these that are all in its belt. And you can see that they're all fairly small, like they could either be used to stab, as it did, or it could also be used to throw. And then it's got, as well, this scroll case and quill that I mentioned before.
What is a bandolier?
It's
like
the
a
thing
s-
that you wear like this, and it's got like different stuff on it. Like
Diagonal
Sabriel.
belt.
Did you ever read the Sabriel books by Garth Nix?
Never even heard of that.
Oh, they're really great. She's got a
Wait,
bandolier.
what are they called?
So the first book is called Sabriel, Sabriel. And I've only read the first one, but it was absolutely wonderful. And one of the most gorgeous, like evocative fantasy images is that in this world, magic is done with bells. So to have, like, she's got this bandolier with different sizes of bell on it, and the different bells do different terrible sorts of magic and stuff, and it's really, really cool. And I saw the world's best cosplay of this, like truly the most like picture perfect to what was in my brain when I read the books. But anyway, so that I was going to be my go-to. This is what a bandolier is if you've read those books, but
Yeah, no, like I was like specifically asking for the title because often stuff gets renamed completely in German for copyright reasons. And apparently the German name is The Seventh Gate. That's it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Fair.
I bet that makes sneaking around a real challenge. Yes.
Well,
true.
no, the actually, the bells have to be like kept kind of like they're muffled and silenced because they do cause such enormous effects when they're rung. So they are like, you kind of, when you take the bell out, it has to be like released. Anyway, so River is actually going to say, like, she's going to hand the bandolier to Tawny and say, Tawny, look at this. Just kind of figuring that it looks more complicated than the thing that she wants to look at, which is the scroll.
Okay. So when you hand it over, Tawny, what are you, like, do you want to look at anything in particular on it or just kind of stare at it, or what do you want to do with this bandolier before I go back to the scroll?
It's a very kind of... No. He's going to look at the quality of the, presumably it's leather. And
of the yes, the sheathing is definitely leather.
no,
yes.
the knives are made of leather.
Yeah, I was gonna say
just whip people with them. Very short little whips.
super sharp leather.
More of a blackjack, really, an edged blackjack. Anyway, I think we call that a maul. Anyway, but he's going to draw one of the knives and examine it.
So when you draw the knife and you kind of look at both sides of it, it does sort of glint and shine in the light, and it does seem to be made of some kind of what looks like polished cold stone. There is a sort of jagged edge to it, but it's clearly been, it's not just sort of rough hewn, it was clearly shaped to be jagged in this way. And as you pull this thing out, you hear this and then you see that there's a little drop of something which drops onto the ground, and it some kind of acidic or poisonous liquid that seems to be coating these things. And as you look, you can see that at the bottom of each of the bandolier, the sheaths, in the bandolier, the notches, there is a little bit of a reservoir. And as you're looking, you think there might be a reservoir that's holding some of this liquid, so that every time you put the knife back in, it would recoat
Reapplies.
with this liquid. Yeah.
I can imagine there's stone because, well, I don't know. It's
Yes,
hissing on the stone. So this stone cannot be corroded by the thing that it is, but
That's correct.
regular stone can be.
That's correct. Yeah.
Keeping my stone away from it.
Yeah, I was gonna say your stone is like, wait, yes, that's correct. This stone is definitely not corroded by whatever it is, and so yeah. And I don't want to overemphasize. It's not like it eats through the floor, but it's but it definitely it's
As
not
a
pleasant.
stone mason and a dwarf, can I make an educated guess on what these knives are made of?
You might be able to go ahead and make a. Let me see. What kind of a check do I want you to make?
Demonic obsidian.
Demonic obsidian.
Cat is screaming at me.
Kitty cat! Hello, puss. Oh, you're so cute. What a long cat.
Yes, she's the longest cat. Look how long she is.
Oh! Long cat is long.
She's like, what the heck?
Hey,
What? Yeah.
hey, Marcia. Hey.
So I would say, let me have you make a. Let me go take a look at the skills. want to make
I
sure
could
that I'm
do
giving...
a proficiency check for like masonry trolls, so that that would be the closest thing I can think of.
Let me have you make a... This is what I was looking for, stone cunning. Yeah, so let's do that. Let me have you make a history check for this, and you'll get an advantage on that.
Okay.
For this sort of type of it.
13.
So, when in your travels, Inga, there was a time when you remember going forth with, when you were, on your travels, where you had this discussion with your mother about where different kinds of stone came from. And she had kind of instructed you about how it's just like, cooking with different ingredients. Not all stone is the same. Some of it is this way, some of it is this way. And she made reference to this strange, and you didn't really catch the word. It was this dark stone of grrr, and then there was some growling sort of sound that she made. And when you had asked her about it, she kind of didn't want to say any more about it, but you got the impression that this was stone that came from a different place. And now that you've had a chance to grow older and have sort of looked into stuff, this is the kind of stone which is usually only mined in the Dark Lands, in the lands of Mordor. It is well known for being able to be infused with various poisons and acids, but not be consumed by them.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Much like yourself, Inga.
Yeah,
Having
exactly.
just been infused with poison that is not consuming you.
Are you saying then that the stone that dwarves came from came from Moria? Is that what you are insinuating here?
You mean Mordor?
Mordor?
Mordor, sorry.
No.
No.
You are more tough
So anyway,
than the stuff.
that's what you see on this, Tani. Do you put in? Do you do anything with it, or just like, that happened?
I've resheathed the thing, and perhaps it goes without saying, but these are designed to kill people. But I mean, even more so.
All right. While that's happening,
You're looking for the scroll, right?
yes. Yeah.
So you find the scroll case, and you find the quill on its belt. The quill seems to look more or less normal, except that it seems to the bottom of it, the nib, sort of looks almost as if it's been coated in a kind of metal, so that it looks like it's basically designed to be sturdy, from what you can tell. And again, you've never seen any orc certainly using something like this.
Thank God.
And the scroll case, when you open it up, there is indeed a couple of pieces of parchment. And if you want, you can pull them out and look at them. But there are a couple of pieces of parchment inside this thing.
Oh,
Mhm.
no.
What?
As soon as you started talking about the nib, I just got this distinct visual in my head that it's actually a sharpened phalange from a scribe.
Oh.
They cut off the scribe's index finger and sharpened the bone from the end of the index finger, and that's what the nib is made out of.
I was just gonna make a joke about Pen Chalet existing in Middle Earth, and like, oh look, some nibs, stuff like that. But no. River is going to look at the parchment.
One of the sheets of paper is definitely blank,
Wait,
but
is it parchment or is it paper?
it's rolled parchment.
Let's hope it's not human skin.
And when you open it, it looks to be beautiful human skin. No, it seems to not be that. It's some kind of thick, rough paper. And when you open it up, you can see that there are a number of lines of. And actually, what languages do you speak? I should ask.
Oh, I only speak common.
That's what I
So again, so if there are other languages, she's also going to be like, Tawny, come look at this.
Yeah, because what you see here is stuff written in some language that you don't understand. But one thing you do understand is what look like time notations. So it looks like, 10 o'clock dash, and then, or hyphen, and then blah, 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 something you can't read. 11 o'clock dash, something you can't read. 12 o'clock, etc. And they're sort of just listed down the page.
Huh. The most recent one being when Inga made a noise.
You said it.
presumably. Yeah. So, like, River hands it to Tawny, expecting that he who knows many languages might make more of it. And she says that it seems to be like having noted times of things. But can you read this?
Let's find out.
So, what do you have? This many tongues, many scholars, many languages. What is this thing?
Yes, the tongues of many people, which I will put here.
The common phrases. Okay. So, right. Other than that, what languages would you theoretically speak beyond this?
Definitely common, but there's no
Right.
mention of anything more. I would imagine that with I'm probably getting a pretty good handle on Dwarven from having worked with the book so far.
Yes.
It's like such a huge privilege, might I add.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, it's
might
been
I add,
a whole new
because, like,
world of
dwarves like really do not like to teach outsiders their language.
Right.
Yeah. So you find also High Dragon Spear. You, as a pen maker, I should start doing that. That's true, Kerflop. You do make pens. Oh my god.
What? Kerflop makes pens?
Yeah,
Dude.
Kerflop made a
No.
pen for ARFCon last year. Like a really, actually two of them, I think. Really.
Kerflop does not make pens. Kerflop makes works of art.
Yeah. That's quite right.
Is
He
it,
also makes
like,
clocks and stuff. Yeah.
Do you make the bodies of pens, or do you make nibs, or both?
You know what, Kerflop? I'm sure you've got an image of that pen that you made for the. Just put that in chat so Amal can start squeeing while
Yeah.
we're doing something else.
Amen to
Yes,
that.
please.
You should do that because Kerflop really is talented. It sounds like he had a good watch. Check his wrists. That's funny. Okay.
But I would imagine probably also having dealt with orcs the way that we have, probably and been like hiding in shadows, listening to them talking, probably picked up a couple of more words.
Possibly, although the weird thing is that orcs generally don't. I mean, written
Right.
language is not really their thing. Yeah, like
Right.
so. But in terms of what you can see, so as you start looking at it, you realize that you're pretty sure this isn't orcish. You're pretty even if it was just verbal orcish kind of translated to paper, you're pretty sure that this is something else. And as you sort of read this stuff, you kind of puzzle through it. You know, your kind of eyes narrowed, and you realize at a certain point that although you don't know this speech, you know enough to know when you see it. This looks like it has been written in the Black speech of Mordor, speech which is typically only written and spoken by those who have trafficked in ancient lore and who are sort of wise in that kind of lore. Again, you have never heard of an orc lore master, but that's what you think this probably is. Something is being written here in this ancient and quite evil speech. Again, now the times are just, you can just read those. That's normal.
And
but
that's what he's going to focus on for the moment.
Okay.
Is the times, to see if there is a pattern which indicates that at such and such a time somebody came by, and if there is a pattern of that, to know whether or not there is a regular arrival from somebody to come down and check on them.
Yep, there is. It looks like every hour you would guess there is some marking and more stuff that was done. And 9, 10, 11, 12, etc.
And do we have any sort of a sense of when that next check-in will be?
Well, the last check, which presumably was the writing that was just done before.
No, the writing that was just done before would have been when Inga made a noise.
But this writing doesn't seem to be. Well, I mean, you have no idea what it says. But this
I don't
writing
have to know
comes.
what it says. I know when it was written.
Right. What I'm saying is the time that it lists is exactly 1 hour after the previous time.
Okay, so any second then. Any minute. Let's go with that.
No, maybe. The time seems to list when it wrote down something, and it seems to be every hour that it wrote down something. And so the most recent one is listed there, and then there's some markings that you can't read. But that's the last thing that you see. So it almost seems like it was doing it heard something and then just did as part of its regular report. This is what I saw at, blah, at this time.
But I would also imagine that if it's like Chuck came by at 10, Chuck came by at 11, Chuck came by at 12. Even though I can't read,
You would see some of the same runes.
Exactly.
Yeah, not really, no. You don't see any discernible pattern in that regard. There are a couple of runes that do look similar, but they're not necessarily placed, next to each other in the same ways. So yeah, there's not that. The only thing that's for sure is that it's clearly the same kind of speech, and clearly it's happening every hour.
So it might not have meant that someone is coming to check. It just like his own reporting.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, it could have been like,
Right. Okay.
Dear Diary, it sucks
Yeah.
to be in a furnace or whatever.
Oh, we've met the orcish Samuel Pepys. This is great. This is amazing.
The Boswell's journal, right? Like just, Today I took in something at the fire, and it's all done in like ancient,
Actually, is Robar able to read the ancient, the dark speech?
That's a good question.
I just suddenly remembered. Right, our fourth member.
If so, he doesn't.
That would be surprising.
He doesn't have any proficiencies listed, so I have no idea.
Yeah, I think he would be able to confirm that it is indeed the black speech. I think that his experience would give him that information.
I can just check the book if that's like one of the languages that they automatically learn. Dunedain.
While you're doing that, anything else you want to check on
They
this?
do not have black speech as a standard language. They have Sindarin, Vestron, and the common tongue.
Right. Okay.
I don't know what Vestron is.
What so we have the lantern, right? And I think at this point, to enable us to look around, we'll probably have or just drag things
Just
towards
sort of
the
risk
firelight.
opening it up or whatever. You can do that either way.
Or just drag towards the firelight.
Up to you.
But what River wants to do is, like, I figure that she is turning the body over as she is searching it, which I would expect means that she would see the cloak,
Yes.
with the symbol on it.
Yes, you do. It is, so it's painted in red, and it does indeed look to be a tower, but it does not look like this tower. It doesn't seem to be sort of a, version of this tower. I mean, I guess it could be stylized, but it is an evil sort of looking red multi-story tower, and there is what looks like in the back of that tower, it could be perhaps maybe a sun or an eye or a spora, but I don't want to overdo that. Like, it's not it's not clear, but it's some kind of orb, I think might be the best way to describe it, that is behind the tower.
I don't expect River would recognize this, but
No, you've never seen this at all.
Never seen it before.
No.
Okay.
Nor have you seen an orc like this in any respect. Like everything you see on this orc, you're like, what?
So River is going to take the cloak, I think, or they just cut off the symbol and roll it up and put it away.
Okay.
Or like after showing it to the others.
Sure.
And stuff. And again, I wonder if Robar would have any recognition of it or anything like that.
No, Robar does not recognize this either.
Okay.
So I'm like wondering, do they have clocks, like mechanical clocks in Middle Earth? Because how did the orc measure the time?
Well, they must have them because in The Hobbit, there's a lot of talk about like 3:15 and stuff like that.
That's
and
right.
Just on the stroke of 11, Bilbo reached Bywater.
True.
Yeah.
Okay,
so I'm sure
like,
that as incongruous as it feels, I am sure that they do actually have clock time in one way or another.
Yeah.
Probably of dwarven
well, they do
make,
have
actually.
Wednesdays, so that's like still weird.
Exactly.
But dwarves in particular have like all the glorious mechanical toys and things that they make. So I totally imagine that clockwork is something that dwarves in particular are familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
So even if the orcs don't have it, there's probably timekeeping devices like in this tower.
Okay, then I want to check if the orc is carrying a pocket watch or something, or if there's like a wall clock in this room, something like that.
I'm so tempted to say that he had a watch because of Peter Gluten Eater's line that he actually has a wristwatch, but he does not seem to have a watch on his person. No.
Okay,
There might be
then
one in the furnace room or something.
Yeah, okay, but like, did the other smaller orcs have anything of interest on him?
The other one basically just has the smaller one just has a bent sword, which I think I mentioned, kind of this rough armor. But that's it. There doesn't seem to be anything, and is also not wearing that, cape insignia thing or anything of that sort. That looks, as I say, you've run into little orcs like this before, and this one doesn't seem to be particularly different from the ones you've encountered in the past.
Okay.
Belatedly, also, hourglasses are definitely a thing that can exist easily in this time. So if it's just an hour situation, then...
Yeah, okay, I guess. Okay, then I guess we go to check the inside of the furnace room.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, we probably don't all need to do that, right?
Somebody should stand guard.
Yeah, and also, River wants to head down towards this part.
Sure.
Still trying to be stealthy about it.
Okay. Go ahead and make a stealth check when you get down to the entrance. Then, when you get down to here, basically.
Yeah.
Didn't you mean to put on ambient stuff for fire, because I can't hear any of
Yeah, the volcano isn't really doing what I.
So I feel like this is creepy sneaking music. It's definitely.
Yeah, the music I'm happy with. I just wish that
Oh, that you're gonna have another element.
Yes, that's right.
The volcano track has some weird kind of Gollum giggling in it.
No.
And
That's exactly right. Look, I have simple mace breaking. Yeah, that's great. That's great. I have that. I have castle ruins. I have an arrow trap. I have a blunt arrow striking a wood shield. But do I have just a fire? Just a campfire?
An arrow trap might work if you're mostly deaf. It could kind of sound like fire.
I guess so. I have ice blast
Really bad
spell.
tinnitus.
I have mind stun sigh. That's a thing. 1 ton brick trap. This is great. Can I have a fire, please? Just a fire.
1 ton brick trap. That's awfully specific.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's just not half a ton.
There's underground lake city. That's cool. But no, I don't. For some reason, I just don't have werewolf man brutally transformed. God. That's okay. But I
Hell of a
don't.
sound.
Anyway, go on.
Tawny is dragging the bodies into the furnace room to right about here.
Okay.
Oh, you can throw them into the furnace.
No.
No.
Because we don't know where that goes. And
No,
And
that's
also
fair.
the smell might alert.
The smell might alert someone.
Do you
Actually,
smell an orc? Because
I was thinking, I was actually thinking, though I have no idea how this works, and I don't even know if River would think of it, but is it possible to throw some combination of stunning herbs or something into the furnace in order to make smells?
Would like
that,
to throw a bunch of weed into the furnace
I was gonna say.
and get
Just,
everybody in the
chill
house
out.
stoned.
I mean, it was 420 yesterday.
Yeah,
so
I
why not
know,
just
I know.
make sure all the Give It Kings just can be what's up, guys? But I'm really
I
hungry.
like that incense that you've had there,
Yeah.
and I decided I was going to list to some Stone Temple pilots and kick back. How do you think about this? Oh man.
But yeah, so I don't know if that's feasible, or if this is just if it's just heating, if there's no conducting of scent. I don't know.
It is heating. I mean, it's possible that it might conduct some scent, but you doubt that it's going to be strong enough because it'd be diffused even by the time it got up there. And your impression is that this would not be by itself enough to heat the entire tower. So there may be another one of these rooms somewhere elsewhere, you don't know. But you would guess that this isn't enough to heat kind of the entire tower. And that's clearly what it's intended to do. There's definitely a lot of warmth in here, but a lot of the warmth, it's not as hot as you might expect because a lot of the heat is being drawn up through this, chimney into the ceiling.
Right. Okay. So River got a 17 for stealth.
Okay. All right. So you're able to move down there quietly. While you're doing that, I'm just going to talk to the people about the furnace room because Tani's in there, and I assume Inga and Robar are going in there as well. Well, I have big rainstorm going on outside my house. Hopefully everything will be okay power-wise, but all of a sudden my window's
We had snow earlier.
Do you do
today.
fire? Can I get fire? Can you please give me a fire effect room? That would be
Did you
great.
get any snow this winter, at all?
Yeah, very little. I'm sorry, Mal, you were saying.
I was just saying it is April 21st, and in Ottawa, Canada, it was blizzarding this morning. It was
Wow.
like it has actually melted now, but it was fast and furious enough to have actually blanketed everything in white for a few hours, but has now melted.
Wow.
We
Oh,
had a
that's very-
barbecue on our balcony the other day, so just
Yeah.
for
This was a complete dud as a
comparison.
winter. We had like one snowstorm, I think, and that's basically it the entire winter. So
The one thing I'm going to say, and then we'll come back to this, is that I am actually glad of how little snow we had, because given that we're doing a pandemic, as it is, it would be really fucking shitty, excuse me, it would be really very bad if there was also flooding, which is the thing that that happened last year really catastrophically. And we spent...
That affected your folks a lot, right?
It did. Like my parents live along the river in a very small community, very rural community in Quebec, and we were very, very, very lucky. Like there was minimal damage, but like the house became we're well behind the 100-year flood line, so the river literally surrounded the house. Like the house became just like a castle on a hill surrounded by the river.
Wow.
And some did get into the house, but we were stacking sandbags for days, and we needed a lot of help to do it. And there was definitely no way that any of that could happen again with social distancing measures or so anyway, the one disaster at a time is what I'm saying.
Okay, I just got on my phone, tornado warning in this area until 3, take shelter.
What?
Okay. We do have a big storm out there.
Envy. This is all envy.
I don't envy your tornado.
I like wind, but I've actually driven through a tornado once completely by accident in Brooklyn. I was driving back from having dropped something off with a band member, and I was driving along, and just for a moment, not only did the car rock, but I knew later on because one of the couple of the trees, the thinner trees, were bent almost double, which is what they say when the tree is bent over that well. And I was like, holy crap. And they had tornadoes which had touched down, because we do get them once in a while, once every few years, and they had touched down actually one not that far from where I live, and I had ironically been not near there. I'd been over in Brooklyn when it was happening. But anyway, okay, so that's well.
Do we need to end the?
No. I'm in the shelter, right? Like it's
right.
Like,
are you in the right? Are we
I'll
literally doing D&D from your basement?
I shouldn't say that. I am in my office, which is on the second floor, but it's not saying to take shelter in the basement. I think it's just like don't walk around. And I'm like, no problem, man.
Right.
I'm gonna stay. There's a pandemic, so I'm inside anyway.
Do you start counting at 1 or at 0 in the US for stories?
The ground floor.
Oh yeah, so ground. Yeah, so it'd be this is the second floor of a ground floor would be considered floor 1. And then floor 2 would be the one above. So, and I actually do have a finished basement.
Because then in German that would be first floor.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, that's...
Why is language
Sorry,
like
that was really like... I was like, wow. I just looked over my phone and it's like, blam. I'm like, okay.
Speaking of disasters.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, let's hope that stays where it is and we can just keep going. All right. So, yes. So
who's going into the furnace room?
Right, the furnace room. That's right. So the three.
Tawny.
Tawny was there, and Robar is staying. Where is Robar staying?
I guess Robar is keeping watch.
Yeah, he's more or less staying where he is. But Tawny's lantern, since there's plenty of light in the furnace room, Tawny has left his lantern here, so that it
illuminates more of the area.
Right, and anybody who comes around this corner here, will be illuminated in the light of that lantern, and Robar will be able to see them from where he is.
Okay. So, okay. So that's... all right. Yeah. Sorry, I was just looking at... Yeah, okay. This is what it is. At 2:33, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over East Tremont, moving east at 50 miles per hour. Radar indicates hail and possible rotation. So it could create a tornado. Oh, well, boy. It's interesting.
It could drop zebras on you.
Yeah, it could do that, yes. Yeah, that's what it described, Grifflop. I'm sorry, everyone, that I was taking everyone away from our game. I was just like, whoa, what? Okay, so I got it. Robar, I understand what you're saying. So that means that Inga and Tawny are inside.
Tawny's got a very specific plan in there. But deal with the river first, and we'll come back.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so in that case, River, when you get to that area, you would have to go a little bit farther to see more than what you see there.
Right.
So,
Okay.
and now and also I should ask,
I think she'll
do you
gonna,
have the lantern
yeah.
with you as you're doing this? Because the flickering light is not going to, go down to this southern area, so you'd need to have some way of seeing.
Oh, good point. I guess she'll have to. Yeah.
Okay. So you can see.
Keep it mostly hooded, and you should be fine.
Yes.
There seems to be what looks like an empty room ahead of you. You'd need to go in to see more. And then, as I mentioned, there's these passageways off to the east and west.
Empty room. Okay.
But again, that's just what it looks like from here. But
Seems to be.
right.
Well, she doesn't want to put herself in a room that looks closed. So I think she's going to do that. I think she's just gonna look here and then kind of head back up and say there is a chamber here, but not. I think she'll want to have someone who can actually see in the dark go in first.
Okay.
So
All
she'll
right.
just head back.
Then to the party. All right. As you do that, I will ask Tani, what is your master plan, sir? As you
Seeing if he can gauge how much coal there is versus in bags and whatnot versus how much coal there is in the furnace to know, are they due for a resupply? Anything?
No, it looks like they have just recently put coal into the furnace. That might have been what they were doing with the shovel full of, the coal. It looks like they were just stoking it just recently. There are multiple sacks, probably 6 or 7 of them, these large sacks kind of leaning against the wall over here. That have the coal that you can see kind of, one of the sacks is open. You can see kind of coal falling out of it, basically. And there's also some coal kind of right around the base of the furnace, basically. Other than that, there are broken bits of furniture and wood in here again. There looks to be a couple of broken tables, and maybe there was what once was a chair. But you do see sitting on the foot of the furnace over here, you do see what looks like a rather large hourglass, which does seem to be there. And it looks like it's just been flipped because it basically it's turned over and is, the vast majority of the sand is in the top chamber.
Is it black poisonous sand from a different land?
It looks to be. It actually is telling time, and you feel Shadow just looking at time passing in this way. I'm just kidding. Just joking.
I just wanted to add, Morinda was saying in chat, why is my arm disappearing? I didn't realize that was a thing that was happening with this magical background of stone wall in Ireland. But that is what's happening. But I was just doing a stretch, and as I did, my arm disappears.
Just vanishes. Magic. And yes, yes, Morinda, we have always used Zoom, or for a very long time anyway.
This is I only just recently discovered the magic of being able to put a different background on, so maybe that is the thing.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what you see in this furnace room.
River
you might be muted, Terry, by the way.
Is there nothing else?
Just as I mentioned, the bits of furniture, the table, the chair, which are all broken up, and then this, as I said, decent-sized hourglass, which is at the foot of the furnace and has just been flipped recently.
Can I peek? How does this furnace look like? Is this just an open fireplace with a chute at the top?
But that's pretty much correct. Yep, that's right.
Okay, then I want to look up the smoke chute. Is that what you call it?
Chimney.
The chimney. Thank you.
Okay.
And want to make an educated guess as to how far it goes up.
Going to be tough to do that without putting your head over the rising flames of the furnace, though, because the shaft goes not that far above the actual furnace, so you could kind of crouch next to the furnace and look up a little bit, but you're not going to see very far up the shaft without literally sticking your head in front. So, and yeah, you can see that you're almost positive that this is clearly part of dwarven make. You know, you've seen furnaces like this that exist even in Erebor and other, dwarven facilities that you've seen before. Clearly dwarven make. And if you had to guess, the dwarves tried to make these extremely efficiently so that there would be only a couple of these for a larger structure that it was in. That having been said, this probably extends all the way up, you would guess, probably exhaust near the roof. So you guess that this would go up through the entire tower, but you can't, see obviously very far. You can only see a few feet up. But pretty likely that A, this goes all the way up, and B, that there's probably at least one other of these that would be needed to heat a facility like this.
So these are for heating purposes.
Almost positive, yes. It's definitely not anything. It's not heat that's hot enough to be a forge or to be a smithy or anything like that. This looks like it's doing exactly what it was intended to do by the dwarves.
Can I make a guess that if the furnace was to go out, how long would it take somebody upstairs to notice it getting colder?
Probably only a few minutes, if you had to guess. Especially because this has to do the work, even with another furnace somewhere, this has to do the work of heating the watchtower. So they would probably notice within, you don't know exactly, but probably 10 minutes or so would be clear that it was getting colder. 5-10 minutes.
So we should probably dump all the coal in there right now.
No. Then it would get very, very hot upstairs, and then they would immediately know something is wrong.
That would be fine. What if actually this is gonna say that River can kind of mutter under her breath, can we just roast them all? Clearly under some influence.
I don't think there's enough coal for that, but.
The other thing I was going to ask as well, though, is about the quill and paper and stuff. You know how so River has a sixth sense of source when in presence of shadow?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if those items ping that at all, or if they seem at all unusual or magic-y.
The items, no. The insignia, and I wouldn't say magical, but the insignia definitely would get your spidey sense tingling, so to speak.
Where is the insignia?
The insignia on the cloak,
on the cloak,
the cape,
on the
that
cloak.
thing, yeah.
Okay.
But the items don't in particular, no.
Okay. How long does he have?
If it were parchment and it were a very fine, clearly someone's skin, and it said Dindy, would it be evil for Tawny to celebrate? I'm just curious.
Wow.
Wow.
Someone has been in the shadow for a little bit of time.
A little bit too long.
Dang.
No, I'm only wondering, yeah, I'm having difficulty imagining, orcish Samuel Pepys. Is it Samuel Pepys? I know it's Pepys.
I think it's Samuel Pepys. I think that's right.
So for those of you who don't know, a very dedicated diary keeper of the 18th century in England. Yeah, I'm just I'm having difficulty imagining him keeping this hourly record in order to deliver it to someone afterwards, versus it being a sort of transmitting somewhere, being the equivalent of a smartphone texting or something like that every hour. I
was just pulling out my Boswell's London Journal to.
Oh my god!
We do know that we have met groups of orcs before that have banded up with specific humans. What was his name? Margaret, right? He died, right? We killed him, or we had killed something. And his brother. Oh, it's too many names. Where was the page I wrote that down?
There were the humans have kept records and stuff. The master of the tower and of the old Elvish tower and stuff like that had maps and details and things like that. But for the orcs to keep an hourly record of something. Just strikes her as very odd.
Yep.
And is he doing it for someone else or for his own sake? Because if it's for someone else, that's a little easier to accept. If there's some orc who keeps his own diary,
it seems, yeah.
In black speech, That's very odd.
Also, and I should mention as well that these marks are fairly limited in that, there's not a lot in each entry. It just seems like a couple of like notes almost. So,
Right.
I mean, I guess if it's like, Dear Diary, saw nothing today. Dear Diary, again, saw nothing today. Like, I mean, I guess it could be that, but...
Heard clink in hall.
Yeah, exactly.
Entry.
Dear Diary,
Hit
heard what is
booger.
probably my own doom. No big
Ate
deal.
booger.
Drums in the deep.
Yeah, exactly. Dear Diary, cannot get out. Signed. Signed Balin. Yeah, we just went through that section in my because I'm reading Fellowship of the Ring to my daughter, and she was not pleased about that because Balin was one of her favorite characters in The Hobbit. So she's like,
too!
she was
I
like,
was so
what? She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, he went there. She's like, what?
He lived a long and happy life.
And then the whole
first.
Gandalf thing in Moria, and she's like, and plus she was upset because Bill, the pony, couldn't come with him, and she's like, what is with this Moria place? I'm like, yeah, it's not good.
Again, it's just like the never-ending story. Jesus, no, Princess Bride. Jesus, Grandpa, why'd you read me
What did
this
you read me
thing?
this for? Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Gosh. Anyway.
All right, so
are we? Ooh, what has happened here? Why is everything big? No. Okay. Closing.
I didn't mean Margaret. I meant Vigland. Was that his name?
oh yes,
The
Vigland.
Bad King.
And like, God, I don't know. There was too
You're
many
talking
bad
about
guys.
there was
I can't keep track of
Walter.
who
You're
was-
talking about Walter and Vigland.
No,
so-
not Walter. Who are the two brothers? The two evil brothers.
Yeah, those
well, there
were
was
Magritte.
there was also, you might mean Lockmond and Bannock. So Lockman was the guy that you saw at the Dwimmerhorn and that you killed.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Bannock was that's probably who you're thinking about. Yeah.
Yes, that's who I was.
But those are both
Yes.
human though, so you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, that is the point though. Like, if they have like, maybe there's a third brother who leads these.
Oh, yes.
And it's like, yo,
I see what you're saying.
it like gave them like schooling, taught them to write,
Right.
and
I was trying to improve their quality of life.
God, just imagining the like the Mordor's school, Mordor's finishing school for orcs or something. Anyway, right. So point is, so there's
It's all
Anyway.
I'm sorry, flying enemy. Moria got gentrified. It's all bespoke cannabis shops now. Oh God.
But have I told you guys what the cannabis shops are like here in Canada, where weed is legal now?
No. Do I want to know? Is it?
They're like Apple stores. They're literally like the Apple store. You walk in and it has the Apple store aesthetic, in terms of like just long white counters with the merchandise like under glass and stuff. But each one is like got different tastes.
They want it to be the opposite of sketchy, right? Like they want it to be not
Yeah.
at all like okay, yeah.
It's literally like if the Apple store and the most hipster coffee bar you could imagine had a weird gentrified baby, then that would
Wow.
be the weed stores here.
Because the weed stores in Washington State, which because my wife is from there, like are all very much still kind of countercultural 70s sketchy. And since I don't and have never smoked up or anything like that, I've never been inside any of them. But I get the impression that they're kind of like they're at the level of the the adult shops that you are generally you don't know what they are except you see a bunch of cars on the
So
outside
anyway,
of them and
anyway.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Sorry,
right?
yeah. We are playing a game here set in Middle Earth.
That's
probably.
right. Yeah, that's yeah.
But
Family
anywho,
show.
yes.
in which, by the way, smoking is a big deal. Let's not
That's
forget
That's
that.
true. That's true. Pipe weed.
Pipe weed.
Hey, Paula, good to see you, man.
So, okay, so we have explored the furnace area. We know that, so I mean, we could probably buy ourselves a little more time by throwing a couple of shovelfuls of coal that the.
Could do that if you want.
Yeah.
Yes, that was the idea here.
Okay.
And also, if we get past here again, that we then like make a quick stop to throw in a bit more coal.
Right.
Okay.
So River is going to tell everyone quietly that there is a small chamber here, flanked, a small chamber to the south, flanked by two corridors that I haven't explored. But Inga, if you wouldn't mind leading us there, then maybe we'd have a better sense of where to go from there without using the lights.
Absolutely, let's go.
All right. So when you go
Also-
down, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Like I looked up the language stuff for Robar earlier, right?
Right.
And so like Inge doesn't actually speak common. Like she speaks Dalish, which is like the dialect they speak in in Dale.
Okay.
And now I'm just like thinking, so like, first of all, it's not her native language, so she has like a dwarven accent, but also speaks this very specific dialect. So it's like when somebody who doesn't have English as their first language but learned specifically Irish.
Right,
English
they
first.
speak
Well,
hybrid
That's what it would
accents.
sound like.
Terry, I was beginning to say, it sounded like you were beginning to describe you. You're like, so you're like, I
learned British English first.
First, I was going to say, like, your English is exceptional, obviously, but what I just meant was, like, is like you have from the point of view of what would be an English audience, an accent or whatever. It's so you're just playing yourself, is what you're saying. Like, it's
like, if I had learned like not British or American English.
If you learned
first,
Dutch, right, as we talked about.
Actually, this is the thing that was really interesting and cool to me when I lived in the UK, was that sometimes I'd meet people from Germany or the Netherlands who had learned British English, or I'd meet people from the Netherlands who'd learned American English. And it was super freaky to like realize, oh wow, like you have the same accent as each other in your native language, but different accents in the language that I speak, and that is super cool.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Exactly. Okay, so you make your way down to that area, and I'm going to ask everybody to, again, make a stealth, assuming you want to try to stay stealthy.
No, we just like barge in there with trumpets and drums.
So go ahead and make a stealth check then when you get down to here. Right here.
Sorry. Cool.
More or less, Echo. Yeah, kick the door in.
I don't want to walk straight into that room, actually. I want to, like, check one of the corners, like the corners here.
Okay.
The sides first.
All right, so the river moves up quietly. Inga moves up quietly. Tani, are you staying in the furnace room?
He's hanging back, but he's basically staying at the door here and watching.
Oh, like, maybe not everybody follow me through the hallway. Like, maybe wait here until Inga waves you in.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. All right.
It's going to be staggered approach.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. So as you look down here, it looks like there's another similarly sized chamber that you can see right there, Inga, as you look down to the one that was in the middle.
Oh God, I'm having flashbacks right now.
Also, okay.
Like you remember in Baldur's Gate 2 when you have like that big dungeon after you confronted Irenicus and saved Imoen?
Yes.
And then you have like these chambers, and every chamber, like on the second or third level, I think, where you have like a different type of monster in each chamber.
Oh yeah,
There's,
that's
like,
right. Because he's
5
doing
of them or
experiments on them
something.
or something. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Like I'm just thinking of that now and then. And this one is a beholder, and this one is an illithid.
Well, fortunately, you're right. So there's a gelatinous cube, and no, not D&D. So fortunately, no. But no, this seems to be empty from what you can tell. Just a couple of shattered remains of furniture and other debris, and so forth, and still a fairly thick coating of dust down here as well. Not that you could say it's never been looked at in the last few years, but certainly, again, not often used. And then this, exactly same thing, another chamber that looks just like the other two.
My cat is screaming at me again. He's like, play with me!
So that's what we got.
Yeah, okay, then I want to check out the rooms one by one.
Okay.
I think, so if there's no one there, so while you check that one, Inga, River is
I guess
gonna
I call River
Yeah.
as well with a lantern or something. Or like get another torch.
River is gonna say, look up at the ceilings
Yes.
when you do it as well.
Okay.
And that's what River's gonna investigate in here. With
Make an
stone.
investigation check for me, please. And Inga can do the same thing if she wants to. Although, actually, Inga, and I'm not making a short joke, but you probably would need a little help to kind of tap the ceiling. So.
But I do have, like, you know, I am a dwarven mason, so, like, I know, like, the science and stuff.
For sure.
So.
Okay, so
as you're all there, you hear something bang into the side of the wall, and you sort of look quickly around River, and then you see kind of Robar sheepishly kind of at the entrance.
Rolls are great.
So I get advantage on this roll because of stone. So
Okay.
that is a natural 23.
So you're pretty confident just as you sort of tap, which is what I'm assuming you're doing, the ceiling and kind of looking for signs. Are you just tapping or are you just looking? I should ask. I shouldn't assume.
feeling more than first she'll feel for like seams.
You need to get up there though, because the
your axe.
ceilings of these. Yeah, that's right, exactly. You could use it if you used your weapon, but the ceiling is probably about say 8 feet, maybe 9 feet above you. So.
Okay.
Yeah, you'd have to kind of
okay.
lean up and use your weapon to do it.
Okay, yeah.
Connie probably would be all right.
Then she'll sort of tap gently.
Okay, yeah. So as you sort of tap quietly, just it doesn't sound like there's anything obviously hollow, and you don't note any, visually any seams or anything around the sort of inside of these rooms on the ceiling up there. So yeah, you don't notice anything in particular.
Is there the other things that she'd be looking for, because what she's remembering is the thing about treasure chambers and stuff. Is there what is this? What is the stone is also like stone, right? Like
yes.
Is it polished? Is it pocked, or is it?
It's not polished. It would. It is probably. It's sort of shaped, but it seems to be as if the dwarven masons did this sort of in line with the kind of look of the rest of the tower. So the stone itself is very well, measured and evened out and whatever, but it's not smooth and polished or anything of that sort.
Does it smell of anything in particular?
Not really. Maybe mustiness, dust, perhaps. No, not mustiness, because it'd be not even that. Just I would say maybe some dust. Probably
dust.
That's all.
So like not coal.
No.
Okay.
No.
So okay, if she finds absolutely nothing, then she'll she'll go and do the same thing into the other chamber.
The one to the left there. Okay.
Yeah. But she'll want to say to Inga first. Do you have a sense of what they might have stored here?
What?
Yeah, you'd have to. Are you gonna go back over to because she's in the other room?
Right. Yeah.
She shouts.
No.
Do you
exactly.
No.
Well, in that case, she'll look in here first, then.
Okay.
And then reconnoiter.
Okay.
Oh yeah, like Inga's gonna come over by this point when she's done with that room.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And
so we can
go ahead and
all look
reconnoiter.
at this one together.
Sure.
In that case,
I can sit on your shoulders.
Yeah, actually, no, literally, you could just like, just
He is
River.
heavy, so.
I think River can manage it. Like,
Like Inga's short, but like dwarves are as
she's
wide
dense.
as they are tall.
And you're wearing plate, right?
You are.
Oh yeah, I'm wearing plate. That's true. Because I never draw that.
Right, I have this image of you, River, being extremely excited about this. I could do it, and then, and you're like, you do it fine, but you're like, all right,
buckling.
Glad this worked.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
But the thing that River is going to want to ask is like, what might have been stored here? It doesn't smell like coal.
Given that this is the lowest, presumably the lowest level of the watchtower. It would also be the coldest part. So, colder. Like, if you go any deeper, it would get warmer. However, I wouldn't be surprised if there was mainly food stored here to keep it fresh. But aside from that,
well,
Mark will probably tell me.
Nothing.
Yeah, you're just kind of like, nah.
Well, so she has advantage. It's 11, but it's still probably nothing.
Yeah, it's the same situation as before. It seems that this is just kind of a very nondescript ceiling in particular, and you don't hear any particular sounds, unusual hollow sounds or anything coming from above you as you tap. Neither does Inga see anything.
Did Inga roll?
No, Inga was just looking at it. She could also, if you want, Inga, you could also make another investigation check if you want. Put on a large overcoat, pretend to be a giant. There you go, Marina. Okay, so we're looking at a 10. Yeah, same deal. Does not seem to be much different from either of the previous two chambers.
Okay. All right.
So we also don't find anything of interest here, like gear or whatever. Just
not in particular, no.
Well, I
actually-
guess in that case we go back, inform the others, and then Inga is gonna start scouting ahead over here, unless anybody else wants to do anything else first.
You said there was what in those rooms?
Just
Dust.
nothing. They smelled of very little dust, and there was
They smelled of lots of dust, but
yes,
else.
little else. And then there was nothing that we could see on the ceilings or around.
Didn't you mention something about like hacked up furniture?
No, that was in the furnace room.
Yeah, in these rooms there were little bits of what might have been furniture at some point, but much less even than in the furnace room.
Really?
Not a lot. Yeah, a little bit. Furniture, I don't know, wood. The same kind of stuff that you saw in the cellar here. So like, little bits of wood that might have been barrels or whatever. In these rooms, there's a little bit of that, but there's no metal, even hoops or anything like that in here. These are
Okay.
pretty empty.
They might have been old storerooms, but either it was so long ago that any smell is gone, or I don't know, or they were. I couldn't tell you what gold really smells like, so, but didn't find anything that we think is of note.
All right.
So you said you're making your way up to here.
The draft is here.
Okay. All right. When you get up to there, make a stealth check for me,
Peekaboo
please.
again.
Inga.
Yeah.
16. There's a
Um,
slight delay going on with
Yeah, I was gonna say it wasn't doing the even like the little roll thing necessarily.
There it is.
Okay. Okay. So you're able to make your way up, and then River, when you get a chance, and Tani, I assume you'll be doing
Yeah.
the same as you get up there. And while you're doing that, I will say that Inga, you can note. Okay.
Whoops.
So everyone moves out the way, and you're like, wait, and then kind of do the classic slightly bump into the person in front of you and like, and so the sound kind of echoes down the hallway, but only silence responds. There doesn't seem to be any other sound down here. The draft gets a little bit stronger as you get to the corner, and you can see that the hallway extends down to the east here, and then there seems to be another passageway leading off of it to the north up here, Inga. That's what you see.
I'm kind of having second thoughts now about leaving the pebble in the door earlier. Like to leave the door open.
Why?
Because we killed these two orcs, and if they find out that the heating goes away and they come to check on them, they're gonna try to find out where somebody came in. And if they don't find an empty hallway that leads nowhere, but instead an open door, that might be an issue.
All the more reason to leave quickly. I'm gonna assume that we, before moving through this hallway, shoveled some coal as well.
Can I walk back and check if the door, if we would be open, without closing it? Oh, he's not listening right now.
Sorry.
Oh, dang.
And yes, Tawny was shoveling some coal while he was leaving.
Great.
So there is a fresh supply.
Warming the backside of the Gibbet King before,
Who has a very bony backside.
indeed. Not a lot of circulation. Probably has very cold extremities. Oh, Millie, you're so cute. Oh,
Okay, sorry.
that's good.
Talking
Hi.
tornadoes. Yes.
Envy.
I was saying, is there a way to check if the door should be able to be opened without actually closing it?
So seeing, you mean like the direction that it would close and
No,
open?
I mean, the obvious way to test if a door opens again is to close it and then try to open it again, right?
Right.
The idea is that I just look at the door and be able to tell.
I wouldn't say that. The door opens inward. You can tell it from the outside. So there's that. It opens towards you, but there's nothing obvious on the inside, although there is what looks like a kind of a depression, like a area within the stone that you could probably reach your hand and sort of pull or push. It's unclear whether that would then disappear when the door is closed or not. But at the moment, just looking at it, it's visible to you, and it's obviously on your side, the inside of the door.
Okay, in that case, does everybody else think it would be smarter to leave a quick wait of to run the risk of being discovered, or is the risk greater of being stuck?
Given that we know how to open the door,
yes,
I would say test it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Close it. See if you can open it without knocking. And if you can't, knock 3 times and see if the door opens.
Yeah. I feel like this is the kind of thing we probably would have done as we were entering, but just for the sake of keeping forward momentum. But I think that would have made the most sense to do that as we were entering.
Okay, I'm closing the door then.
Okay. So it closes quietly, silently. You are left momentarily, of course, in darkness as your ears kind of adjust to the pressure as it seals. There is no crack on the inside. They were trapped in the mountain. I couldn't resist. You're like, no. The depression in the stone is still there, even when the door is closed.
Okay, I'll try to pull it open.
It opens with 0 problem. Just
Hey!
slides right back open.
Okay,
again.
Great.
Apparently, the lock is the outside. That's the
when
issue.
Players overthink shit like that.
That's fine. No, it was smart thinking. But fortunately, the dwarves were apparently worried about people coming from the outside. So
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I see. Okay, then in that case, Inga goes back to exploring that hallway.
Okay.
So you said there is nothing.
There is just
Did they
a
change
hallway
the draft?
extends out to the east, and the draft does get stronger as you get to the corner here. Stronger relatively. It's not like a rushing gale. I don't want to.
I'm really worried we're going to get eaten by a grue at this point. That is the thing.
You are liable to be eaten by a grue.
Yes.
I
Just
peek over here.
Okay. Did you ever play Castle Arcanum in your text days, Amal?
no, I didn't.
That was the text thing that I did with a friend of mine back in graduate school, the text-based mud. Okay. So, as you look in here, you can now see what the draft is coming from, because there is a set of stairs leading upwards. And there is definitely some breeze blowing down those stairs. It doesn't look like the stairs lead outside, but it's definitely coming from a higher floor. And then further to the east, I should say, there is what looks like a small set of stairs leading downwards.
Ooh.
I want to go downwards.
Okay.
Okay, first of all, can I see what's up the stairs?
No, it looks like the stairs that okay, let me rephrase that. Yes, if you go to the foot of the stairs, you would need to go to the foot so you could look up it, basically.
Okay, then I want to do that, please.
Okay. So when you look up the
Weekly,
flight
of
of
course.
stairs, you can see that the stairs go up about, again, it's 20 feet of stairs, roughly speaking, and there is a landing that the stairs seem to lead onto. Just looking up at it, you think it's possible that above you, at the stairs go up, and it might be that they circle back around. So it might be this is one of those back and forth staircases, if you follow what I mean. That it's a stairwell, basically. So you go up and then go up to the next floor and go up to the next floor. And that there's a landing so you can get off the stairs on each floor. Yes. So you're not sure about whether the stairs go up directly above you, but it seems like it might be. Either way, there's a landing that's on the other edge of these, or the other end of these stairs.
Do I hear anything?
Make a perception check for me, please.
13?
There it is. So the only thing you hear is a little bit of this wind blowing from upstairs a bit. Beyond that, you don't hear anything in particular, no. Also, I want to make a note, which is that it's also cold wind that's blowing down here.
Interesting.
It was cold outside, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is it colder, or can I tell?
I can't really tell.
Remind me, Arv, the chamber of wind was where in the structure?
On the 3rd floor,
The third
or on level 3 basically of the place.
Okay.
Then I want to go over here and peek down.
Okay. And so as you look around here, you see there is the hallway bends to the south. And as you get closer, you feel warmth again coming from here, Inga. And as you sort of peek around there, you can see that there is another, what looks to be smaller room. And in the inside of this room is, again, a small furnace. Definitely smaller than the other one. And you can see that there are sacks of coal, again, that are along this. And there is a fire burning in it. But there is no one in this room. At least not at the moment. But it looks like it's been recently, again, stoked, if you could estimate.
Okay, then I want to walk into that room and see if I find anything of interest.
Okay. More or less the same thing I mentioned that was in the other room, just smaller. No bits of furniture in here, but there are sacks of coal and so on. But you also notice at the foot of this furnace, there is also an hourglass, which has also recently been flipped.
Okay, but in this case, I want to step into the furnace because it's off, right? It's not
No,
burning.
it's on.
No, it's
That's
burning.
why it's
on?
burning. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say,
never mind.
and you burn to a crisp. Here ends the
But
story
you
of
die
Inga.
nice and warm.
Yeah, exactly. You're very warm. Set a man on fire, you can keep him warm for life, right?
I've never heard that. That's
that's Pratchett.
It's the parallel to give a man a fish thing.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Die Mausje. Ach, die Katze ist wieder da. Okay, in that case, I go back, inform my compatriots, Aua! And then...
They're like, what do you mean?
Ow, 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 burn.
And she stepped into the fire.
No, cat claws also way
into
worse
the
than
fire.
usual.
Sorry.
Uh,
Do you there's an hourglass that's been flipped there as well.
Correct. With most of the
interesting.
sand in the top chamber.
Interesting. Which could mean that it was just they recently stoked the furnace or something. But if the furnace needs to be stoked every few minutes, that's probably not the case. Okay.
but yeah, I suggest that we go up the stairs.
All right, let's do it.
But then
Next
Inga
time?
goes up.
Well, no, this is a good setup. Yeah, this is perfect. I was just going to say that, Trent. So, you go up to the second floor, and Arv hopes that he can find... That wasn't it. Never mind. You didn't see any of that.
You're right.
Let's see. There we go. I almost had it right. It's like trying to find... again, this is the problem with only running one instance of it. Okay. So... Let's see. We can cover that. So, you...
I'm virtuously staying in Roll20, so I'm not actually seeing the things that you're doing on the stream. But yeah.
Okay. Good. That's fine. That's fine. All right. So now I'll bring you over to this. When you just go up the stairs, you come out on this side, and you actually find two things of note, Inga. The first is that you were right, and there is indeed another flight of stairs going upwards. So it, doubles back, so it comes out on a landing, and then you could circle around and go right up the other flight of stairs to a higher level. That's the first thing you notice. The second thing you notice is that it's much colder up here than it was down below. And the third and final thing that you notice, perhaps rather more strongly, is coming from your south, coming from an area that you can't see very well at the moment. There is the sound of, instead of crackling flames, the sound of talking. You hear, and on occasion, you also hear a deep voice. And as something bangs into the ground, you think you might be listening to what sounds like a very large creature, which has just banged a very large object it was holding into the ground loud enough for you to hear. And that is where we will bring our session to a close for today. So, there we go. You were on the second floor, so to speak, of this place. Good stuff, everybody. This was fun to actually see. You only had, of course, those two not very powerful orcs, but there were mysteries about them, and everyone's sort of sorting their way through the furnace level and everything, and kind of moving up was fun for me to see. People kind of working their way through and being like, "What is this that I'm seeing?" So that was always a good time. I will start as per usual on the bottom of the column. Amal, always a pleasure. And how did you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks see you next?
I really like this. This was actually, like, I'm not going to say it was relaxing, but it was sort of relaxing to paradoxically have to briefly be in combat.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was initiativeless combat. It was just like, wow, we actually dispatched a couple of orcs with like a quick snicker snack, as it were.
Yep.
So that was interesting, but they are so creepy. Creepy orcish Samuel Pepys continues to be like, I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
They should not be writing.
No. But no, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed, in particular, like Inga, showing us around and stuff. It's like the sort of worst nightmare version of, let me show you around my house and stuff like that.
Look at the lands of my people seized by
Welcome
orcs.
to MTV Cribs.
Exactly. And I kept, honestly, like, I was really surprised to see like the 3 chambers. I was really expecting that to be like a further labyrinth of stuff. So it's really, it's really fun for me to like just see like inch by inch the space become more visible, because it does feel both like and very unlike what it would be like to actually explore something in total darkness like that.
Right.
I really enjoyed it. It was good. Where people can find me is mostly on Twitter, where I'm not doing very much on Twitter, to be honest. I mostly am posting photos of bread and occasionally, actually, if you want to see my husband doing a creditable William S. Burroughs impression with which he persistently plagues me, that is on Twitter at some place. And just watch a Glaswegian be a very specific kind of old-timey American. But that aside, so you can find me on Twitter at Tithenai, Tithenai. Also on Substack, amal.substack.com. And when is our next do we have a date set for
We don't have a date set for next session. Okay. I will say that what I'm hoping is that what we'll do earlier in the month is meet and do a session where we'll see how far you folks get. What I'd love is for the session that I'm hoping to do during ArvCon, which will be in late May. I'm hoping that would be kind of maybe the concluding session of Wilderland Adventures. It's possible that we might get far enough that could happen. It might have to be a little bit of a longer session, but I'm thinking it might be possible. And that's what I'd love to do, because I want a lot of epic stuff, to happen on that ArvCon for obvious reasons. So that's what I'm hoping for. But either way, we will have 2, sessions, and the first one will be a more normal one. So, I'm
just gonna throw out there that in the only other role-playing game that I am part of, which is not for broadcast, the pandemic has moved us to weekly sessions. I'm just gonna say that in a general sort of way. If anyone wanted a session next week, I would be down for that. That's all.
I will keep that very much in mind. I'll keep it in mind.
Tornado's willing.
But always a pleasure, Amal. Did you say all the cool stuff beyond that, or is that it?
I should say things. Yeah, sorry. I have a book out that is called "This Is How You Lose the Time War." It has been nominated for a bunch of awards, and it has so far won 1 and lost 2. So, thank you, Tari. Yes. It's co-written with Max Gladstone, who is phenomenal. Earlier this year, did I show you guys the Stabby Award? I can't remember.
I don't know if you did.
I'm just gonna grab it.
Award?
Yes. 1 second.
Please tell me it's a gigantic knife.
It's that
you keep in a knife block above your bed. It's really not funny if she's not here to hear that.
Yep.
I must show it to you because it's relevant. So the Stabby Award is administered by R Fantasy on Reddit, and they just they vote for best of a bunch of stuff, and they decided to give Time War this award, and the award is shaped like a dagger. I'm just gonna actually take my background off so you can see how cool it is. Sorry. Take off my.
Is it an actual dagger or does it just look like one?
It's an actual dagger.
Oh, that's.
Oh no, but what?
with-
Did you pay for it though?
What? No.
Oh no, then you are cursed.
It's like
Oh no, you're right. You're right. I know that. I have to use
I
this
Oh,
explained
man.
that to you.
I will tell you. So first of all, it's engraved
Oh, that's-
with
Wow.
stuff. So our Fantasy Stabby Award has my name on it. But it's it came in the post described as a letter opener, which I find extremely delightful. And maybe that's the way to avert it. I tell you what, I did have to pay for it because I had to pay customs.
Yes,
Which
very good.
So there we go. I am not cursed
So it's
to
totally
sever
fine.
my relationship with our fantasy as a consequence of receiving this.
Steve Drew, shout outs by the way to Steve Drew, who has run our fantasy for a long time and does a really good job. And
Really?
yeah, I've done AMA. I know you've done this too, but like AMAs over there, and
I actually have never
works
done
with-
an AMA there.
Oh,
I would
really?
Love to sometime, yeah.
You absolutely should, because Steve is a good guy. He does a lot of stuff at Gen Con with the Writers Symposium also, but he works with World Builders, Pat Rothfuss's thing
cool.
that he does, and so he always has cool stuff like a helmet that everyone autographed, which went to World Builders, and a shield and stuff like that. So it doesn't
Aw.
surprise me that I'm guessing he was probably the secret, the power behind the throne. That's not what I mean. The one who made it, the master plan to come up with that. But that's cool. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's awesome. So this is they gave us this in January. So Time War did not win the Los Angeles Times Book Prize's Ray Bradbury Award, which they were launching this year, but Marlon James's Black Leopard Red Wolf won, and it is like an astonishing honor to have lost to that book in particular. So it was just a truly amazing ballad and honor to be on. And it's up for a Nebula and a Hugo, and those things will be announced later in the year, and a British Fantasy, the BSFA Award, the British Science Fiction Awards. It did not win a Kitschy, but it's just delightful to see it on all of these different ballots and things like that. It's a real absolute joy. So yeah, so if you want to get that book, it's in paperback now. It's got a sexy step back cover. It's awesome. It is always a delight to hear people enjoying it. So if you have read it and liked it, I would love to know. If you have read it and not liked it, I would prefer not to know, but
Please don't tell me.
you are free to have that opinion. It is super okay. I just would prefer to not be tagged in it on Twitter, as some people sometimes do.
Sigh.
That's all.
Always a pleasure,
yeah.
Amel. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, it's all good.
Did I cut you off? Thank you. Thank you very much, Amel. Always a pleasure. We will see Amel back here soon with more AME.
As soon as next week.
And yeah, we will see. Although I do have, they have a.
I know you've got other streams.
Yeah, I know. But listen, if it were up to me, I'd be all about playing tabletop all the time. But anyway, we will talk about that. But always a pleasure. Moving right up on the line, Terry, also a pleasure to have you with us as always. And yeah, I was enjoying watching Inga make her way through the halls of her forefathers, so to speak, and being like, "This is dwarven. I don't know if this is dwarf." So that was interesting. And the thing about the door was not a bad concept. I mean, like, I could imagine thinking to yourself, "I don't know if I want things behind me or whatever." So I thought it was perfectly reasonable to look into it that way. How did you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks see you next?
Well, this was a lot of fun, obviously. Like, nice change of pace. Like, we don't do a lot of dungeons. This Dungeons and Dragons game.
Yeah,
We did
that's
have the
true.
dragon last session. Now we have the dungeon.
It's true.
That's true. Oh my god, that's amazing.
It's getting more like D&D
Hey,
all the
but-
time.
My very first proper game that like long for more than one session. Like, yeah, we actually fought a dragon in a dungeon.
In a dungeon. Nice.
In a dungeon.
Branding.
So, and that was Forgotten Realms of all things. So, but yeah, no, this was a lot of fun, obviously. But yeah, where can people find me? On Twitter and on Instagram at TariTunes. Please follow me. I do post my occasional art here, there, and currently like a lot of Animal Crossing talk, and also I design a lot of things for Animal Crossing, and you can get my creator code on my Twitter.
Do I follow you on Instagram? I should look that up.
So like if you want like cute dresses and stuff, then please.
No, I am following you. That's right. Yes.
So yeah. That is a thing. And other than that, you can find me here every other Tuesday, either for this or for the Gamebook live illustration streams.
Yes.
Where we currently are playing something Moria.
We were. We finished it, and we're now moving into something she's super excited for, which is Car Wars.
God,
so she's going to be illustrating
the end of Tolkien Tuesdays.
Yeah, that's true. We've left Tolkien Tuesdays behind for a little while, at least that Tolkien Tuesday. But
like I've been like begging for over a year now. Let's do something Forgotten Realms, and he's like, no, I don't have a book for that.
Exactly. I told about this. All right, but I gotta move on because I gotta make sure that I get clear of this in just a moment. But it's always a pleasure to have Terry with us, and you'll see her more soon.
Literally already banished that from my memory. car thing.
The Car Wars. I'm looking forward to it. It's so funny. I just can't wait to see you be like, what? Anyway, always a pleasure to have Terry with us. Also, always a pleasure, would be a pleasure to have Will with us, but unfortunately Will was not able to make it here. He had not only the hard drive stuff, but then when that was fixed up, his internet was down because of course. So he will be back with us next month playing Robar Staunton. One person who will be with us much sooner than that, but not in this session, in the Infinity and Beyond group, is going to be Mr. Trendane Sparks, who will be with us soon. And Tren, again, good stuff today. I was wondering a little bit about how Tani was going to handle things if the little orc had escaped, and if it was going to be, do you trip him? Do you just bear hug him? Do you body slam him, Undertaker World Wrestling Entertainment style, or what? But
those are all options.
All options. How'd you feel about today?
I felt today went pretty smoothly. It would have been really good to have Robar here to roll his own damn dice. But no, we love him, we miss him, we covet him. But maybe that's just me. Anyway, so yeah, the next time you'll see me will be here on Saturday for for Infinity and Beyond, for Vowel and Consonant. Adventures in Middle Earth. Vowel and Consonant, sort of. Aside from that, you can follow me on Twitter, where I recently hit 2,000 followers, and now I'm back down to 1999. Just like I called it. Just like I called it.
Zip there until you finally pass it. You have to get to 2001, and then then it'll be an odyssey.
Back down to 1998. And yeah. Anyway, exactly. Easiest thing is just follow me on Twitter, and anytime I'm doing anything, I wind up, noting it there. Aside from that, you will hear me on any audiobooks that I've narrated, I would imagine, that you happen to be listening to, because that's kind of how that works. It would be great if occasionally we had tornadoes here in California, because I wanted to be a tornado chaser when I was a little kid. And we just don't get them here. I mean, I've seen one, and it was anticyclonic, so that was really cool.
Wow.
I love that you live in a place where you literally get fire season, a season of fire and earthquakes, and what you do is lust after the natural disaster that you don't have. That's just
I'm just like trying to think. Imagine a tornado like while everything is on fire. That doesn't sound like fun.
That happens.
Yeah, it happens sometimes, and it's real bad.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Anyway, that would be me.
That's awesome. Thank you very much, Tren, and thank you to the entire Adventures in Middle-earth crew. We will have them back, obviously, next month, and as I say, I would love it if we could... when I say wrap up, in case people are going, wait, does that mean the end forever? It does not mean the end forever, because, but assuming the players are going to want to continue after this, which it sounds like they might, the plan might be, if they survive, for the characters to continue into Erebor, because I have a set of Erebor adventures that are linked that would extend beyond this.
Awesome.
So I thought about that. I considered also Eriador adventures, which are also cool, but Erebor might fit better. So we'll see. And it would be pretty neat, and it would be sort of even higher level as they continue to push up. But before we get to any of that, they have to first of all deal with a certain little thing called the Gibba King. So we'll see how they manage there before we do any of the other stuff down the line. But
now we know we will succeed and survive. Otherwise, we couldn't move move on to the next adventure.
We'll
Knock
see.
that wood.
That is the hands. That is in the hands of. That is in the
Dice.
hands of the gods and the dice and all of you. Or as the gentleman who was with us earlier on was claiming, the RNG, which makes it far worse than my awesome Dark Eye system, which is way better. I was like, I'm glad he enjoys the system.
If you have in your system have to roll 3d20 for one stupid action, like then that's too much. That's too much. If you want to climb a tree, you should at best roll 1 die. And not have to roll 3 die and then multiply them by like a very specific formula. Like it's not even you like add them all up or anything. No, it's like one of them counts double or something, and it's stupid. It's stupid. Too much math in that system. Sorry.
Yes. Well, I'm glad that we have the system that we like, that everyone has the system that they want. But I'm going to let you folks go because I got to get ready for my next thing. Thank you so much to Trent. Thank you so much to, we'll have Will back next month. Thank you so much to Terry. Thank you so much to Amal. Much love, everybody. Everyone stay safe, and I will see you folks very soon.
Thank you. Bye guys.
All right. So that is going to do it for me for this, but it is not going to do it for me overall, because coming up in just about a half hour, he said as he fires up his webcam, there we go, coming up in just about a half hour, oh God, one of these days, honestly, I'm going to remember. The problem is it should just shut off and not turn back on whenever I change the scene. Swear to God, I turn on, the video's done, I'm like, yes, it's done, because it doesn't play again until I come back to the scene, and then it does it again. Anyway, as so-called alleged pro streamer says, that is going to do it for me, but I will be back over on GOG in about a half hour with Pen and Pixels, playing D&D with GOG. So we've got Storm King's Thunder coming up today. So it's going to be exciting with that. Yeah, the final nominations, I've got to get going like right now. So basically whatever it is, it's going to be. So this is the straw poll. So there's no final nomination left. You have 30 seconds to get your vote in. 30 seconds, get in your vote now. 30 seconds, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. 30 seconds. 25 seconds, 20 seconds. It's Planescape Torment, World of Goo, Kingdom Come Deliverance. Get in your votes now. 15 seconds, 10 seconds. Thank you, Junk Farmer. I appreciate it. 5 seconds, 3 seconds, 1 second. And there we go. Lovely. Okay, good. We're set. So on a 10 to 6 to 4 vote, Planescape Torment Classic wins. I have played this before, of course. I'm a big fan of this, so I'll be playing this a little bit next week, and you will have a chance to see me play some Planescape Torment Classic, so that'll be happening next week. Thanks for all those who voted in that. But I got to rise up on out of here. I want to thank everyone who made this an awesome stream. If you like what you saw and heard, please follow the channel. Please support us by checking out the YouTube, !ArvTube, the Discord, !ArvCord, Twitter, !ArvTweets, website, arvanellarun.com, financial stuff, !ArvShop for merchandise, including Adventures of Middle-earth that you just saw that was drawn by Terry Toons doing a lot of that illustration. So you can get stuff for that. You can get stuff for the Infinity and Beyond crew, currently doing Curse of Strahd, so we have that as well. Soon to have Esper Genesis material over there. All of that helps the channel. Also, what helps the channel is the Patreon, !ArvTreon, which Amal is nice enough to support, and which many of you have been nice enough to support. That definitely makes a difference in the channel, so please consider jumping on board with that. Cool stuff for you and cool stuff for the channel. And lastly, that sub button. Many of you have subscribed. We have 63 subscribers at the moment. Please consider jumping on board to sub so you can get those awesome emotes and, again, inspirations to help the players, both in that and Patreon as well. And then lastly, publishing stuff, Icarus for my Icarus Gelinek graphic novels, Library for Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, the copper best selling, I should say, on Drive-Thru RPG version of that. And the print edition is coming as soon as the printer in Lithuania gets out of lockdown, so hopefully soon. And last but certainly not least, of course, Greyshade KS, my Greyshade Kickstarter, of which there will be more details again when things with the pandemic begin to calm down a little bit. Otherwise, I want to thank my amazing mods, Arudinel, Dragonspear, and of course Terry Toons. Let me stop for a moment. Thanks to my amazing players first, Trendane, Terry Toons, and Amal. Wonderful work from all of my players, as always. Very grateful that I've got wonderful players, so thank you so much for playing with me. Can't wait to see more next month. Thank you to my subscribers, Arudinel, Dragonspear, Terry Toons, Echo Alpha, Nonstop, Polar, Aerith, Marinda, Trendane, Trishimats, and anonymous user gifted a tier 1 sub to Amal Elmatar. Amal is now a sub, thanks to the power of the thing. Thank you so much, anonymous gifter. Thank you. Thank you very much. Whoever this anonymous gifter was, I appreciate it. And now Amal gets to use the emotes like everybody, like the folks who are subs already. Thank you so much, anonymous user. I appreciate that. So yes, thank you for that. And thank you for subbing, Amal. Thank you to O'Hawken. Thank you to an anonymous gifter. Thank you to another TT viewer. Thank you to Blue G. Thank you to Commander Root, to host. Thank you to Gorgar, Jagtris, Junk Farmer, Lurks, Mrs. Dunsel, Old Cowboy Audio. That's a great name. Thank you to Questionable Results, Rhiannon, Rimastino, Thoraz and you, Christensen, V&K, Virgo Praz, and Walter World Games. Again, a lot more of this campaign and other campaigns to come. But now I got to get out of here. I'll see you folks in about 25 minutes over on GOG for Pen and Pixels and for D&D with GOG Storm King's Thunder. Until then, everyone be good to each other and everyone stay safe. Much love. Be good to each other. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.